Yet the tadpole was in the dark too. Dozens of them, crawling towards me as a mind flayer held my skull in its psionic grip. I grasped it between my fingers. One squeeze, and it would be no more.
Ludus non factum est.
The squirrel's tail twitched in a salute between equals.
Sol invictus.
Seluna, Our Lady of Silver. I realized my error. I think I'm fermenting from the inside out.
In accessus.
True soul. Absolute. What do they mean? That smell. What is it? Odd. The tadpole squirmed in my mind. It seemed sated. Seluna, the Moon Maiden. He gave a tiny burble of disappointment, head falling towards the ground. Her fingers flexed against her thigh, coiled with tension, longing. Look at that. She doesn't have to be trustworthy to be useful. He lowed, with surprise and delight, clearly unused to this attention from strangers. Is there a dead tadpole in that jar? He paused, looked down at my eye as it sank into the mud, and recoiled slightly. Leviatha, a goddess who thrives on pain. This book must be for her followers.
Preces, alia, pharaoh.
I saw him holding a quill, preparing to write his own book about the Absolute.
Horribilissimos.
The tadpole squirmed with glee. It was clearing the way for something deep inside. Something that wasn't me. There's no getting past those vines. The ritual was thorough. With that, she fluttered into the air, setting off at a determined pace. It's fine. We did the right thing. So let's keep moving. We should check it out. But be careful. The dog looked from me to the dead man. He stared for a long moment. Timask and torch stalks. Great. At least we're safe now. That's all that matters.
Copio virtus licet.
She flexed her great shoulders and lunged. As I drew closer, the owlbear lashed out. Talons sliced through the air towards me. I'm still wondering about the dead drow. Looks like we're in Eltergard, east of the city of Baldur's Gate. Myconids. That explains the voices.
Oh!
He listened closely, excited and bewildered in equal measure. What's a fort like this doing in the Underdark? Then we'll stay out of this cultist trouble and worry about our own. I focused on where that spot of pain had been when it slipped behind my eye, to where it now lurked. That odd staff might be of interest to Gale.
Ah! Non-fit endurer.
Every time they did, I swear I felt the tadpole twitched behind them. By the exile! What was that? First came ice. Shivers from top to toe as I explored her.
Spira mortis.
My chest filled with yearning. I wanted to get closer, to... No, this was all wrong. The crab writhed in horror as I ripped its shell away. Its raw, twisted abdomen squirmed.
Ve victis.
His eyes flicked to mine for an instant, then away, as if it hurt to look at me. The tadpole writhed. My mind suddenly reeled as if bitten. But if it's a symptom of the tadpole... Irritation eclipsed his suspicions, and Ragslin's mind rested. The tadpole squirmed in my mind. It seemed sated.
Incertus pulce imperio.
The bear was exhausted, but relieved. She greeted me with a contented rumble. It prodded the other items in my bag, as if considering their potential as new homes. The spell's power waned, and the corpse fell silent.
Nullus salus.
I repelled her mental probes, concealing my memories. Burned from the inside out. Must have been our warlock friend. As my lips touched the filthy flesh, I caught a whiff of lavender. She walked through my memories, learning the layout of the grove, searching for weaknesses. Barrel stalk, bloated with poison. Better leave it be. Yuck.
Ah! Ut ventus. Resisto acidum. Crescit eundo.
With dull insistence, it tried to scuttle away. I was huge, a predator. That's curious. Doesn't do anything.
Ad maiorum de gloriam.
These fungal spores are everywhere. So this is what honesty gets you. Consider my lesson learned.
Fronti nulla fides.
I realized the crab needed water, fast. It would die without it.
Oh!
A beautiful glaive. So why does touching it give me a knot in my stomach? Finally free. I must find my kin.
Resisto acidum.
A gemstone glittering in the dark. Brightness of deep thought and far-seeing. brightness to blind. The bear blinked at me in surprise. With a small huff, she settled back onto her haunches.
Intactilis sum.
And I heard what you said. You pray to Shah, the goddess of darkness. I wager that blade has a mighty enchantment. Gale could tell me more. I saw a name etched into the leather. Scratch. The rat hissed as I locked eyes with it, an ugly grimace on its face.
Stultissime.
I pictured the Feywild in its colourful glory, the joy of all seasons flourishing at once. It was no masterpiece. Her gaze flicked between the box and me. She was lying. Either way, we're lucky to be in a cell, not a grave. Let's find a way out of here.
Vita mortis cario.
Blacketh's crown. What was that? The crab landed next to a pouch of hamster feed. It immediately recoiled. After what mind flayers have done to us, we can't exactly brag. Hag can't have gone far. The Tadpole squirmed in my mind. It seemed sated. Confusion, eyes flashing as it hesitated, sniffing me. Freshly turned soil shifted beneath my feet as I approached the grave. Looks like an ambush. A clumsy one. Whatever made those tracks seems to be in here.
Vietus et scientia.
My life was my own. No wriggling tadpole was going to change that.
Efferve.
Someone else got out.
Venia tuve me.
The bird hopped impatiently. What are these for? Are those drow? Did those Dwergar do this? My chest filled with yearning. I wanted to get closer. I needed to get closer.
Veritas. Credo. Oculus. Preces. Alia. Pharaoh.
She tilted her head curiously. She didn't seem to know it. That's the symbol of the Absolute, marked in blood.
Faccio voco vere.
The glyph screamed, searing my mind. I saw time rewritten, fate undone. The wolf focused on the quiet glow of the statues, shutting out the commotion of the grove. Who knows what will happen in the chaos of a fight? We'll decide when the moment comes.
Stupefaccio.
The boar squealed in outrage and shuffled its trotters, ready to flee or charge.
Resaccio. Voco flagella.
Are they all like this? It's gone. I felt so strong. Where did that come from? A low growl built in his throat as his eyes tracked the movement of my tail. It was agitating him.
Dissolve.
Eyes on the targets. We'll take out the leaders and be gone fast. With a flick of his tail, he ran away, urging me to follow him.
Circulus mortis.
True soul. Absolute. What were they raving on about? I saw a name etched into the leather. Scratch. I'm far beyond ogre ears. If that Selûnite amulet is really God-touched, Gale will want to see it. She gave a great yawn and settled back down to sleep. At least we're in one piece. For now.
Corpora sana.
Interplanar flora. They're brewing something.
Dire.
Compassion. A dead tongue. Whoever worshipped here must be long gone. All I had to do was turn the tables, cage the creature before it caged me. It looked like quite a battle, and yet the monsters had returned.
Bene curator.
I dropped the book to the ground, ready to strike. That's sorted. Let's go talk to the priestess. Were they heading to the Druid's grove? Either way, we're lucky to be in a cell, not a grave. Let's find a way out of here.
Dimento te. Veritas. Credo. Oculus.
Moon Maiden's teachings. But why hidden back here? And what's this symbol?
Mutatis mutandis.
He responded to my greeting with a sad snort and shake of the head. He wanted to leave this blood-soaked place. I'm not in the habit of helping vermin. Hopefully it won't return to bite. Those boots look quite special. Something for you, perhaps, Gale? An ordinary lamp. Not a trace of magic on it.
Aridissimus.
The corpse seemed willing to speak, but not to me.
Intactilis sum.
The bird hesitated a second, then let out a tentative chirp. He hopped around happily.
Fario.
There was no doubt. This was a creature that inflicted grave torture upon me.
Ad lapidem.
I don't think we'll see Astarion again. That hunter's no joke. Gods, that thing is massive.
Frange. Fario. Tormentum.
Not getting back in that thing. Everybody has secrets, but I thought you'd trust me. Maybe I was wrong. Strash, is this to be our fate? What happened? These true souls are something else. With that kind of power, they could tear Faerun to pieces. Sounds like trouble. No way to ignite these. Strange. I saw the slaughter of the tieflings again, but through her eyes. The delight of blood, the symphony of screams. My lips set in a cruel smile. If we can wield those creatures' powers, what comes next? We transform.
Omnia mutantur.
The goblin's corpse grunted and spasmed.
Confusio.
I caught Astarion trying to drink my blood last night. I drove him off, though. We won't see him again. Just a trick, surely. We're being toyed with. The tadpole writhed in ecstasy. Finally, the way was clear. It was coming. It was coming. Ragslin's rage scorched my mind, hot and black. It squeezed me, suffocated me. Just as I was about to get a grip, the goblin jerked back his foot. He nodded, grateful of that at least. Oh, I bet he broke that tiefling's nose. Friendly place. I tried to break through, but its mind was impenetrable. With a last surge of defiance, it slapped my efforts away. Dead. By our own kin's hand.
Treme!
I find I don't much like being told what to do. Least of all by long-dead monks.
Persists alia ferro.
The lock snapped open with a satisfying click. There, in the cage.
Propria.
I tried to connect to let him know he wasn't alone, but he twisted like a snake.
Minimus.
Strange times, strange bedfellows. Not a pleasant thought, but our reality nonetheless. Wait, true souls are infected like us. Why do they think they're talking to a god?
Risus abundat. Kaido. Plagilo.
Strange face, but same heart. Pumping blood and strength and fury. I saw him descending into the hatch, surrounded by safe, comfortable darkness. If we're in agreement, then we should get moving. Chuk, a cheap trick. First came ice. Shivers from top to toe as I explored her. We travel together. That makes it my business. It's bloated with poison. Better leave it be. The cub's claws dug into the floor as his body shook. It hissed, and I realized it wasn't afraid. As I leaned in, I noticed a squirm of movement under the dead man's features.
Glacius.
Several spiders rested in the rear of the crevice.
Voco patentia. Spira mortis.
The bear gave a long, inquiring sniff before settling back onto her haunches. His fingers were warm against my cheek, softer than I expected. There's no forging without fire.
Ex textura.
Some bloody help.
Invisibilis.
His eyes settled on the stone door as he whined softly. I wonder where they were going. I don't want to know what that is. I let my hand fall. Victory was mine.
Es pridae mei.
Looks a bit worse for wear. Perhaps I can patch it up. I don't see one. From the far distance, I heard a blast of goblin voices. The necklace matches the sigil in that cave. The harpers were busy. Then came fire, as her fingers raced up and down my back, seeking more. Long ago, maybe.
Omnia mutantur.
Tail rigid with irritation, she scampered off. He flinched and scurried away. Typical. Must be the tree from the note to Korga. What's that cleft there? It reminded the body of something. The memory of a cold tomb with danger lurking in the shadows. Agitated clacking choked my thoughts. The spider skittered about, more nervous than before. The goblins will be out for blood after what happened at the grove. The bear's heart sank. He turned away, his mind drifting to the memory of a particularly tasty fish. She chittered back energetically. I had no idea what any of it meant. Lae'zel's eyes drifted downward. Something was off.
Resisto. Pallidamors.
I don't feel too good. What did that druid scratch me with? Allying ourselves with dark forces? Really, you lot. I might weep with pride. Excellent armor. Strange place to find it.
Cum mortuus in lingua mortua.
This place is a blister of corruption.
Ignis.
It's a nice horn, but useless now. My parasite resisted, flailing as I crawled into Ragslin's mind murk.
Inficio.
This alliance will dissolve when it needs to. No point in getting worked up over it. Moon Maiden's grace. It's open. So many dead. But no signs of a struggle. What happened here? They're not attacking. Must think I'm one of them. The growl deepened into one reserved for another predator, and she lunged. Poor creature. I hope it can follow my scent to camp. The book was locked tight with no keyhole. There was only an angular recess in the cover. I've got the plans and the Sousa bark. Now I need somewhere to craft it all. Funny thing, prophecy. All grand destiny, but no advice on how to actually achieve it. I hear fighting. Trouble's not over yet. Yikes. Don't disturb a half-ogre in the making.
Intactilis sum.
I could see the broken helmet bore the mark of Shah, the Dark Lady.
Gustas dalcis. Non compos mentis.
Barrel stalks, full of poison. The myconids will release it if threatened. Wouldn't wish that fate on anyone. I'm not going to be eating mushrooms for a long while after this. Beasts chasing beasts, alongside a wild woman. The scene meant nothing to me.
The Vero.
Dead. Seems these true souls have their limits. Locked. Best find another way in. Such a rush to tell everyone our business. The tiefling prayed to my patron Kellamvor. Instantly I knew what was in his heart.
Dolor.
There was nothing else to do here. I took my leave. The corpse jerked. It would speak no more. She was serious. Even she seemed surprised. She was attracted to me. So much for honesty. Our healer turned into a jailer pretty quickly once she heard about the Tadpole. I suppose she's dead either way. We can debate more later.
Fiat voluntas Dei.
Odd. I feel better.
Mother of lusts.
What was that? Now that's dedication? As I turned to leave, so did the other child nearby. She looked nervous for some reason. Where the hells are we? Surprised this hay hasn't gone up in flames yet. Sword and a hat. Wonder whose.
Quadico face.
My skull pounded in response to the prisoner's white-hot stare. Her lips didn't move, yet I heard her voice.
Ah!
Hells. That's some first impression you've made.
Ugh.
By the exile. Gone again. Magic-eating flowers as a light source. Ingenious.
Ubies. Faccio voco fere.
For the best. Death is too good for it. The Tadpole squirmed in my mind. It seemed sated. It didn't seem worth much, but she held it as if it was a great treasure.
Fiat lux.
They spoke of the absolute. Same as that goblin Sazza. Curious.
Vita mortis cario.
Looks like someone wanted to bury their secrets.
Ah. Vincit qui patitor.
Reeks of mugwort. Tastes terrible, but makes some useful potions. Hostia monera.
Oh. Plue.
Tuskva. Best to watch my step. The deep dark should have lulled me to sleep, yet my eyes refused to stay closed.
Frontinula fides. Mortem tuum sum.
Looks like a shrine to Saluna over there. The music weaved together. With a sigh, the bard closed her eyes. Didn't take you for a percussionist. And all was silent.
In nocte concilium.
This was the child that had vanished right in front of me before. That drow cowl might have bits of magic lingering inside it. Any thoughts, Gale?
What in the hells? Get back!
Clever. Food is dispensed for anyone wearing this collar. Let's hope the locals are friendly. The towers seized. The battle done. The moonrise broke the darkest one. We'll be careful around the camp. Let's get moving. These Salunite words do nothing. No point in debating what's already done. Let's go on ahead.
Faccio voco fere!
Ragslin's thoughts roiled, then stilled. My words would be his. They didn't want to surrender their valuables, even after death. The fear gave way to relief. The peace pool. A cure. Even the beast did not bite there.
Take me with you.
These are Sharan weapons. I would recognize the Night Singer's blades anywhere.
Stabilio. Voco patentia.
Scuttle. The Tadpole squirmed in my mind. It seemed sated.
Esto perpetua.
The Tadpole writhed in ecstasy. Finally, the way was clear. It was coming. It was coming. I felt I'd been robbed. And by the look of my pack, not for the first time. Giant mushrooms. I've never seen anything like them. The Tadpole squirmed with glee. It was clearing the way for something deep inside. Something that wasn't me. Doesn't work.
Minimus!
I know we need to find a healer, but staying here is risky. Shadow Druids at work, and this Korga is their newest recruit. The bear was preoccupied with a shiny pebble. My presence went unnoticed. The squirrel chittered scornfully as my foot whistled over her head.
Crescat scientia.
Good thing we arrived when we did. It made all the difference.
Venustio. Tues nihil.
He licked blood and dirt from his paws, acknowledging my presence with a low growl. And yet another. Hardly the warmest of welcomes. What is this liquid? It gave a final anxious snort, then bolted away. One by one, the spiders retreated to the rear of the crevice, lulled by my crooning. Anticipation. She was testing me somehow. About Raphael.
Damn these imps. I need to reach the transponder.
Cozy fire.
Obedi me. In accessus!
It seemed to curl upwards as if considering me. Why are all the buildings on this plane so broken? What do they do with them?
Lagilo!
Must have belonged to Lenore's dog. Never thought I'd walk in on a bugbear and an ogre. Seluna, mother of tides. Long ride down. Is this the Underdark? The Tadpole squirmed with glee. It was clearing the way for something deep inside. Something that wasn't me. The owlbear didn't attack, but I felt every sinew of its body coarse with violent potential. Someone's in trouble. Sounds like coin to me. Seluna, Our Lady of Silver. A pause, and then the flicker of a tongue across my neck.
Evanesco.
I shook my head and left.
Mors animae. Impero tibi. Te absolvo.
The Tadpole squirmed with glee. It was clearing the way for something deep inside. Something that wasn't me. What's that?
Punge.
Is a wretched cesspool of vice and immorality. And it's rather fun. Wyvern poison goes well with wine. Or so I hear.
Ale me.
Here lies Canon. He gave his life defending others. He will be missed. This isn't really the time. Doubt clouded Raglin's skull. Did he feel my guidance? The Tadpole squirmed with glee. It was clearing the way for something deep inside. Something that wasn't me.
Kudo!
Oh, half this drow's body is crushed. Must have fallen from pretty high up. The corpse mentioned a key. This must be the one. Best to stay clear. Or be ready for a fight. Oh, where's Minsk? And Boo? More of those wretched things.
Macte virtute.
I wonder why this one isn't working. Never resting. Never trusting. Tired, feet and eyes always watching. The dog barked and instantly raked the ground with its paw. Scratched at it. The bird hopped around the nest excitedly, grateful that it was still intact. I hear shouting up ahead. Dead. By her own kin's hand.
Mortalis!
Shrieking in indignant terror, the squirrel fled. Those dreams and our tadpole are tied together. Should we really keep using this power?
Maya fortio!
The dog nuzzled my hand and urged me on. His tail threatened to wag. Looks like a beast came through here. A big one, too. The bear lazily opened her eyes and nodded in gratitude. The tadpole. It was doing something. Taking something I'd never get back. The telescope pointed to the right. I tested the weight of the chains, looking for weak points.
Magis amica veritas.
Arguing about it won't solve anything. Let's go. Broken. But nothing I can't fix. That's Jurgle, scribe of the dead. I didn't think anyone still worshipped him. These are the goblins we need to kill. This could take all day. He was as voracious now as he was gentle before. He pulled me in tight, his tongue seeking mine.
Virtus et scientia!
The ox's hooves stamped the ground, longing to trample any goblin in sight. My lips moved, speaking a language I didn't understand. And something was trying to reply.
Voscuro! Ad vitam aeternum!
He's gone. There's no point in fighting over it. Terror, images of boiling pots and plucked feathers. Her heart slammed against her ribcage.
Risum teneatis. Incende. Scio. Dedici. Pecto.
The bear's heart leapt. Was that a look of recognition on the man's face? Scorched ground. Better watch out. I live by 2 rules. Always empty your flask, and never trust goblins.
Video veritatem.
All I could see were those symbols. All I could hear were the whispers. There was nothing else. Agony burst behind my eyes, and the whole world went dark. Closer. I need to get closer. A deathly cold aura settled around the grave, seeping into the soil.
Ira et dolor.
Does that mean the whole cult's after us? That's not good. The dog looked at some paw marks in the dirt around the corpse. Sounds like we have a lot more tadpoles to deal with than we thought. I dug through the rock pile but found no trace of the boy. The corpse remained still. It could answer no more questions. I'll need a flame hot enough for forging. Chittering, he opened his mouth. One of his teeth was badly chipped.
Resaccio. Te ad stringo linguam.
I gasped. A dragon. It was circling like a bird of prey, hunting. I reckon those warriors holding the bridge can be fought off. If it comes to that.
Clausus. Non movere.
And if the darkest one was Shah, Moonrise must be her wretched sister Saluna. I balked at the thought of her breaking my goddess.
Obedi me. Resisto mortem. Voco muras.
Wings folded as she ducked her head. Too afraid. Too broken.
Damned gnolls are everywhere. Aridissimus.
I stashed the bag. Something clinked among the coins. The gnome's mind raced. A head-splitting flurry of thoughts and half-formed ideas. Will tensed, then relaxed. His lips were softer, and his kiss gentler than I'd expected.
Intelligente pauca.
A wonder this shoddy wall hasn't already collapsed.
Parabellum. Eecto te.
No, I don't think I did. You're not telling me the whole truth. To think I could be enslaved like my ancestors. Rage sparked to hatred. I wasn't sure what to make of it. Devilkin. Am I in the hells? A religion? Or a cult? All influenced by their absolute. A deep, sad whine escaped from the dog. He bowed his head.
Ira. More beatus.
Nor was there rest. I took fully of her until I drained her of all ecstasy.
Ab uno disce omnes.
Time to get this thing fired up. I stumbled. The tiefling landed a glancing blow across a man's temple. That's locked for a reason. Let's not disturb it.
Esto perpetua. Ah!
The tadpole writhed. My mind suddenly reeled as if bitten, and then dropped to her knees.
Venenum.
Still nothing. Someone forgot to oil their equipment. Everything here is rusted to the hells and back. The crab froze in terror as I approached it again. Good. Let's go find that priestess. No more prayers. Only silence and dust.
Ah!
It's a fine haul, and we earned it. Damn. Some of those mushrooms are illusions. Whatever killed those gnolls might be nearby. Careful. I don't know, but it could be a useful pole star. I tried to imagine the purpose of such a creature. Distracted by my thoughts, I let my guard down.
Resurges.
Well, he's gone now. For better or for worse. I realized he prayed to Kelemvor, as he expected to soon perish and face the Lord of Death's judgment.
Vita. Mortis. Cario.
In darkest hour a concord made, twixt harp and wild against the shade.
Pulcrior.
I realized the crab needed water fast. It would die without it.
Maledictes.
Tuskva. This cannot, must not be our fate. A dragon rider. My kin are hunting. Blood will be spilled.
Frontinula fides.
Be ready. Whoever or whatever did this could be close. A scrying eye. Best not do anything suspicious while it's watching. Something over there. The hideous corpse rose, tentacles writhing, and my parasite squirmed in recognition. Fresh water. There must be a settlement somewhere nearby. What was... Never mind. I saw his mother, lifting the amulet out of an ornate drawer and stuffing it into her apron. The necromancy of Thay. Ominous. But Gale might find it useful.
Mors incerta vita catissima. Frange.
Those two must have history. Well, that was interesting. Green blouse, brown hair. That must be Mary.
Schio titici pecto.
Flame-walking and god-killing. A story for the ages, I reckon. And it's about us.
Vita mortis cario.
Not sure what the other mushrooms are. Our minds fused, lusting for something that was gone. I approached the dying monster. This was the thing that had abducted me. Inscrutable markings. The crab wriggled miserably as it hit the bottom of my bag with a wet thunk.
It's trying to escape. Veritas, credo, oculus.
Dum vita est, spes est. The moment I moved, the foot shot up, and I felt more than heard my nose crack. The spell's power waned, and the corpse fell still.
Signum arcanum, incommodum, corpora sana, ocio.
Oh, hells. Something just woke up. The mind flayer was already half dead. It probably just lost control. The ox snorted. She knew how to handle danger.
Perure, eretio inspira.
Sousa bark. A rare commodity. The crab snapped its claws at me in defiant outrage. To summon those vines, the power's impressive. The fireplace isn't real. What's hidden behind it?
Et alibi.
I hear shouting. Someone needs help. Such beauty. Such power.
Efferve.
A prophecy about people falling from the sky. Could it really be about us? I suppose it can't be worse than here. Another image. The skies burned with hellfire. The screams of a million mind flayers split my head. There's tunnels everywhere. Who would dig these? And why here?
Mortem tuum sum.
The wolf bared his teeth. He only took orders from his master. And his master wasn't here. Dead drow and some skeletons. I wonder what happened. What's done is done. Arguing won't change anything. Every breath, every blink proved exhausting. A long day awaited me. Bunch of empty boxes and spider webs. Guess Lol's cultists haven't been back here in a while. It glared at me with one eye. A broken spear protruded from the other. The bear was filled with curiosity. Where had the colourful man come from? The hermit crab had stayed deep in its shell since we left the swamp. It's lovely.
Tonitrus.
My skull ached before I could take a step. And I was the creature. I felt her irritation and indignity. The poor creature was on the brink of death. But there was still time. As one, they looked at the bard strumming her lute and winced. Ragslin scowled, shocked by his own words, and a jolt shot through my skull. It's time we had a talk with her. Don't you think? The body was still. The tadpole jolted deep within my brain. This was it. A single word pervaded my consciousness. Soon. Sounds like the goblins are celebrating. They'll be easy to cut down. Dragons, Gith, and the hells themselves had come after me. Yet it was this creature that lingered in my skull. I saw it reach toward a holding pot. The clawed hand opened it to reveal me. What is the creature doing to those corpses?
Mos tua vita mea.
The heat coming off that door. Opening it could spell trouble.
Fiat lux.
The owl's wounds healed instantly. The broken spear was ejected with a wet pop. Astarion, where'd he go? It's a city, dolt. I need to get there. She stared at the ground as I greeted her, unresponsive.
Ah, the poison. It's too much. It's too late. Maya, fortior.
I felt the ox's excitement. She was ready for the road beneath her hooves, the wind on her back.
Venenum.
This parasite lets us control other people. I thought it was supposed to kill us. A splinter of ice worked its way into my mind. That, or we've just prolonged its misery.
Umbrai.
Scratch marks on the floor. This crevice was empty, save a bit of dust. The hideous corpse rose, tentacles writhing.
Albedi me, invisibilis.
My kin's dragons should be savouring this kill. Gaining confidence, he started a song, abandoning his nest-building efforts. I felt a shock of agony as the mind flayer cut through my defences, piercing my mind.
Plue secreti umbrarum.
I don't know what I slept on, but my neck's killing me.
Gela!
Around the dog's neck was a collar. Etched on it was a name. Scratch. I was one with my assailants. Our minds fused together. They were frightened, lost, killed without a mark. Who the hell does she serve? The poison staying with us, then. For the best. In one swift move, the armored man's fist made contact with a sickening crunch. I pity anyone caught by those things. We were lucky to get out with the loot. I'm exhausted. Better find somewhere to camp soon.
Incommodum!
The owlbear's reach made light work of my efforts, knocking me back.
Resaccio! Mario!
The surrounding goblins shuffled nervously, several drawing their weapons. So Orlando knew all of this would happen. Well, let's hope he saw a happy ending then. It burned relentlessly, like a red dragon's breath scorching me from the inside out. Well, whatever you're into. My skull pounded in response to the prisoner's white-hot stare. Her lips didn't move, yet I heard her voice. Something tore right through these people. They didn't stand a chance. Are we really going to let these goblins walk all over us? What a crude teleportation mechanism. But it's a simple way to the Underdark.
Get it! Not this time!
Where's Lae'zel? My intrusion jolted the bear from sleep. No consideration this time. No warnings. She roared. The size of that thing. Looks so much bigger when it's flying above you.
Faccio voco fere!
Looks like a spider man decapitating a mind flayer. Someone got creative.
Ex textura!
A strange coin. I wonder what it's worth. Another. A mere hatchling could do finer work. Please, my destiny will not be dictated to me by some soothsayer. The bear recoiled, convinced that I was a monster.
Ire et dolor!
Brushing away the dirt of time, I could make out the name etched into the cover. The Necromancy of Thay. We'll prove him wrong. The bird hopped around, scanning sticks and flowers, looking for a nice addition to his nest.
Scio didici pecto!
Shouldn't do that right now. Her thoughts remained closed to me. What rotten hell did this tart spring from? My stomach aches. Wonder who was inside. No point in squabbling further. Let's move on. How many are there?
Efferve! Eectote!
Her eyes narrowed. She'd been expecting someone else. Someone familiar. Good. Let's slay the fiend and save some souls. A cave. I mislike this stone sky. Too easy for quarry to hide. My words fell on deaf ears as the two men stared each other down.
Frange!
The tadpole was tampered with. That complicates matters. Now where'd he go?
Stupefaccio!
Selûnite drivel. Must be connected with that chest. It bears the same symbol, the Zentarim. Mercenaries and cutthroats. Useful friends, if you can afford them.
Fulgor!
Unless this Orlando also wrote a primer on alien tadpole removal, I say we keep moving. Dying might be better than turning into a mind flayer. Deep gnome make. But the design is anything but. What was this fort? As the horn sounded, howls and guttural war cries responded from the edge of the forest. The animals around us fell silent. Well, if everything's pre-written, nothing can go wrong then, right?
Oh! Aresque!
He turned and yapped at the corpse, as if to try to wake it. Gluttony? The rat's ears twitched in interest. The creatures clutched the pouch possessively. I had no doubt. A spider's egg was nestled within. The water looked calm. I could lie down and rest. A primitive tool. Useful nonetheless. Wait. Why did my collar just vibrate? Kerellan's star. That is grotesque. I awoke in pain. My back, my hands, even my tongue ached. But then she felt a warm swell of embarrassment.
Tonitras!
Curious. Finally, I can think again. There's got to be another way in. I opened the book where I'd left off, the glyphs dancing before my eyes. Nor was there rest. She took fully of me, hour after hour, until I had no sweat or soul left to give. Shouldn't take long to fix. Hope it doesn't see us. Text is too faded. Doesn't tell me who was worshipped here. A dead language. Something ancient must have been worshipped here. Mind flayer machinery. Better watch what I touch. Best we keep an eye out for more signs of this tampering. Let's get going. The tadpole jolted deep within my brain. This was it. A single word pervaded my consciousness. Soon.
Magis amica veritas.
As the coin disappeared into the well, I heard a soft clink. Not a splash. Some kind of tank. My words fell on deaf ears. The creature's hold on them was too strong. Perhaps it's best to stop debating in mixed company.
Diminuo te. Resisto.
Careful. Even the mushrooms down here can't be trusted. Oh. Only one serving for me, I guess. The tadpole squirmed in my mind. It seemed sated.
Occhio.
A lot of effort to hide one sarcophagus. Well, after you. I couldn't make sense of what he was saying. The fight had rattled the bear. She wheezed, exhausted, swaying from side to side. Good work. Thought we had a fight on our hands. The dog's hackles raised even more as his growls deepened. Yes, pride I may. The stone's less worn here. Recently uncovered. The captive's mouth was still, yet her voice was clear. The tadpole writhed in ecstasy. Finally the way was clear. It was coming. It was coming. The growl petered out into a whine at the mention of the name. Her eyes widened at my tail as she listened intently. Lae'zel held my gaze, searching for signs of weakness. I didn't spot anything out of the ordinary.
Dissera.
The bear blinked at me in surprise, before she reared back and roared. I saw a clawed hand open a holding pod to reveal a face. Mine.
Ubies.
It fits. Oh, hells. Owlbear eggshells. An unhatched one would fetch quite a price. Through her eyes I saw the other tieflings, what little value they had and where they kept it safe. Leviathan. That sounds like a violent goddess. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw the child move through the rocks. A mind flayer. No intention of letting that happen. Quadico face. Let's just stay out of the Myconid's business. That looks sturdy. Ah. A scrying eye. Or whatever's left of it. I had better watch your back then.
Stultissime.
Smells like burnt flesh in here.
Gigans. Ah.
Hag's curse, I guess.
Non movere.
Before unleashing a bloodthirsty shriek, I watched Gale perusing the book with a true wizard's fascination. A few pages in, something startled him. Heart rabbiting, she bobbed her head. Free! Free! Broken. Pitiful.
Mors incurta vita cartissima.
The bird and squirrel twitched, and I felt their unease. Here lies Aradin. He yearned for glory and adventure. And he got it. Hell surrounded me, flames licking at my body. The tadpole in my head convulsed. His lips were softer and his kiss gentler than I'd expected. Glad to hear we're not becoming a band of smugglers. We'll make sure it gets back to its owner.
Ira!
These webs are everywhere. The tadpole jolted deep within my brain. This was it. A single word pervaded my consciousness. Soon. Calm yourself. They're survivors, not soldiers. The boar stared longingly at the pool, yearning for its soothing waters.
Expello te!
Let's see what those harpies were hoarding. This power is ours to command. Those dreams don't matter.
Amicus animalis.
Another brain.
Parabellum.
The crab shrunk into its shell, claws giving a lethargic click. The crab stayed hidden in its shell, using a claw to block the opening.
Silentium. Manus potentes palo.
Myconids. Just as I thought, the needles seesawed back and forth, plucking the nerve like a harp string.
Scio. Dedici. Pector.
The spiders scattered. I felt their panic. The beloved was taken.
Pulso.
Damp stone and darkness. Is this the Underdark? The tadpole writhed in ecstasy. Finally the way was clear. It was coming. It was coming. I can't fit through here. Wonder if there's another way in. It may not be the best idea.
Tempestus.
Oh, God spare me. Why did I think eating a second one was a good idea? It didn't respond. The spell's magic was spent. Long as they're not here, I'm happy.
Dollar. Oh.
Her hands hid her face, preventing me from reading her expression. The tadpole squirmed in my mind. It seemed sated. Contact. He fell to the ground unconscious. What creatures live in waters this dark?
Esto perpetua. Configo. Ah!
Ah, yes, goblins. known for their reliability, honor, and excellent body odor.
Sicko!
The corpse let out an angry hiss of foul air, then was silent.
Akia!
Not much point in arguing further. The damn thing stuck in us either way. I missed. Chittering, the squirrel fled. It sounded like laughter. Damn knots! The book snap closed. I can't remember what happened next, but I'm told it wasn't pretty.
Ugh, dead tunnel.
It had taken age to hack through all this. It's planting animating spores. It means to raise the dead. Mushrooms. Poisonous, if memory serves. She squeaked a final warning. Break the rules and there will be trouble. And scurried away. The rat sniffed the chest, then leapt in, tail twitching gratefully. Through her eyes I saw myself, skin glistening with sweat, hands bound. Ecstasy. Or terror. Maybe both.
Oh, hells.
The flames cooled, dispelled as the image I knew emerged again. Blood and darkness. That might be worth a look. This trunk's rotten. Shouldn't put too much weight on it. I would rather fall on my blade than become a geik. Excellent. Now let's go find that healer. Shadow druids. Korga means to turn the circle.
Sol Invictus, Manos Potentis Paro, Parabellum.
As if deep in the earth in the cold of winter, she slept.
Kaiko Te.
Still, we best not make too much noise. What was in that tart? My stomach's doing somersaults. Despite the chaos in the camp, the adventurer slept soundly, wounds expertly bandaged.
Kaido.
First druid and now last druid. Thanks to us. A nice view.
Aridissimus. Ah!
The dead goblin was silent. Even magic could not coax more words from him.
Oculus Tempestatis, Pallidamos.
I'm not usually one to judge, but...
Tempora Mutanto.
From the Underdark to a hag's lair? Like jumping from a pot into boiling oil. The rat snapped, squeaking, and carried on its way.
Treme.
No, thanks. What is this? I'd call it luck. The flare was weak and distracted.
Surgay.
They do seem a bit short-handed. The tadpole writhed. My mind suddenly reeled as if bitten. The bird sang as loud as his lungs would allow, practicing fervently.
Treme. Tuebor. Diminuate.
He snarled a warning of his own, flattening his ears and lowering his body, ready to pounce. The infuriated spiders crossed my hand and scaled my arm. The swarm was coming.
Amicus Animalis.
Wait. The tadpole. It was doing something. Taking something I'd never get back.
Incertus Pulce Imperio. Incertus Pulce Imperio.
He produced an ice pick and cleaned it quickly on his cuff. The hobgoblin turned to me, and the parasite squirmed in my skull.
Teocludo Oculus.
Whatever's inside that chest must be extremely valuable.
Stupefacio.
The tadpole jolted deep within my brain. This was it. A single word pervaded my consciousness. Soon.
Ubies.
Before I could say anything else, she sprinted away. Maybe later.
Ab uno disce omnes.
Without a cure, I could not restore my honor before Vlaakith. What if something happened to him? My hand trembled, refusing to do harm to the tadpole. A flood of stony potatoes, tinged with hate, tumbled through his mind. Oh, fancy amulet like this is probably enchanted. Gale, take a look. We need a way out. Now.
Quarico face.
No use. It's blocked. I sensed the bear's curiosity as it looked me over. Another stranger. Where had I come from?
Resisto frigus.
Sleep claimed me, and determination buoyed my dreams.
Damn, that thing could blot out the sun.
Her ears wriggled thoughtfully as she considered my offer. A strange-looking staff. Is that something you'd want, Gale? Ugh, my head. This time, I saw a full face, a woman, skin pale as the moon, lips impossibly pink. Tempora mutantor. I don't know it. My only home is the creche. Timask and torch stalks. Hell of a combination. Those beasts are here for a reason. Weapon blueprints. They call for Susa bark. I had prepared all my life to fight the Geik. I dreamt of presenting one of their vile heads to Vlaakith in Tunarath.
Venia tuva me. Ostium manera. Essurio. Silentium.
Excellent armor. Drowcraft, of course. Something divine lingers here, but I don't recognize this presence.
Punge!
The very same as the vile little creature lurking within me. Poison. I suppose that's one way to fix a monster eating you from the inside out. Oh, the smell. How old is that butter? We had to do something to help Mayrina. Statues? Strange.
Macte virtute!
I prepared to free my companion from the chains.
Oh!
Wait. This wasn't a scroll a moment ago. Magical lights. But how to turn them on?
Voco avina!
Looks like the booze got the better of them. They're practically unconscious.
Mutatis mutandis!
Monster. Death is too good for it.
Ex nihilo!
What's done is done. Time to move on.
Extende!
Then let's get this done.
Voco nubes!
Won't budge. Not much of a god after all. Whatever power he had, it died with those creatures. My chain snapped as I expanded my chest. I don't see how a creature like that could be of any use to us. Something caught the light in the water. Weapons. Shattered, but not beyond repair. For once. The rat paused for a moment, then squeaked loudly. It skittered away, stopped, and looked back.
Non movere!
The dog lunged at me, teeth bared. Except all I could picture was citizens with their skulls splintering open, tentacles sprouting from broken mouths, harp and wild. A riddle to some, but I'd read enough to be familiar with language like this. Made it out. That thing doesn't look too happy to be free. I had seen similar books in wizards' libraries, a tome on Thean magic. A rare and expensive find, but people had gone mad reading less dangerous texts.
Vita mortis cario!
Looks like there's a chest buried in that hay. That tail bristled as her gaze fixed upon my feet. I was in her territory.
Incertus pulcher imperio!
It's done now. We don't have the luxury of second thoughts. She could smell them. Goblins, wargs, and something else. She would defend her home whatever the cost.
Vincit qui patitor!
I bet we can work out how to open it. The tower seized, the battle done. The moonrise broke the darkest one.
Voco spicae!
The echoes of the drumbeat faded to silence. The dog would not move. He barked at the dead man, as if to try and wake him. Fire spilled across my vision. Dragon's breath. The tadpole slithered, twisting deeper into my skull.
Faccio voco fere!
The tadpole jolted deep within my brain. This was it. A single word pervaded my consciousness. Soon. What's this? Feeling of power. Some wall. Steady as a drunk hill giant. As the fire settled, tension bled from my body. A dragon rider. My kin are near. That could have been worse. I stashed the bag in my pack. Something clinked among the coins. They're looking for people that survived the Nautiloid. That's bad news. Heart filled with fear, the chicken's head bobbed and weaved. Escape? Escape.
Vivat crescat floriat!
Perfect. She sniffed at me again. One wild thing considering another. Then, recognition?
Accidum!
My people had thrown off the Mind Flayer's shackles before. I would endure like my ancestors.
Diminue. Ah! Secreti umbrarum!
The infuriated spiders crossed my hand and scaled my arm. The swarm was coming.
Fiat voluntas Dei!
The growl took on a note of confusion, frustration, and the bear lunged. This sword has all kinds of power running through it. Gale, want a look?
Volo non fugia!
I need to get out of here and fast.
Vita mortis cario!
The bear hovered between sleep and waking. Her nostrils flared, and her eyes flicked open.
Et alibi! Resisto ignum!
The boar pranced around, haunches clenching and unclenching impatiently. She sniffed at me again, one wild thing considering another. An unforgivable loss. He'd have made a fine ally. The dog remained at the dead man's side as if in mourning.
Pulso!
Too many predators lately, even for a bear. That wasn't a boulette, was it? His eyes didn't open, but his lips parted with a rasping wheeze. I feel a breeze. I wonder what's down there.
Circulus mortis!
Well, praying didn't help. She remained still for a long moment, measuring the threat I posed. and dismissing it.
Mors Kata!
I'd prefer not to see it again. That's for sure. Agony burst behind my eyes, and the whole world went dark. The rat hesitated just a moment before scurrying over to me. Your world has strange customs. The survivor they were trying to save. It was the geik from the ship. Passage is collapsed. Won't be able to get through here in a hurry. I'd have given my life to save it. Nurse it back to health. I felt a cold hand caressing my mind. Sharp, deep, and still fresh. Some monster did this, marking its territory. We'll need a cover story. It would be a joy to serve it. Dying an honor. My muscles strained, my veins bulged. The chains held strong. There were no more headaches or visions. Only our bodies entwined. Sometimes shaking. Always burning. Definitely magic. Though I wonder what they mean. The ogre must have moved on to new deals. There was no doubt. This was the geik that inflicted grave torture upon me. Psionic feelers crept across my mind, like a pickpocket's fingers seeking flaws in fabric.
Obedi me.
The Tadpole squirmed with glee. It was clearing the way for something deep inside. Something that wasn't me. I saw gnolls and goblins prowling the woods. A man crying over a heap of fur.
Pulcrior. That is vile.
My tongue may never be the same. I opened the book to the first page, with its shifting glyphs and strange whispers. Come here, please. Sifting through my thoughts, she saw the mind flayer holding a wriggling tadpole to my eye.
Maleos!
It buried deeper with delight. The crab's claw scratched something hard, which it flung into the air. Interesting. I wonder if those blueprints survived.
Incertus pulcher imperio!
Smiling, the girl opened her pack. The tiefling landed a glancing blow across the man's temple. It was for the best. The cub would have died anyway. For once, she was happy to be bothered. A waste of... You have interesting priorities. Falling apart, just like the rest of this pathetic realm.
Preces, alia, pharaoh.
Where's Karlach? The Tadpole squirmed with glee. It was clearing the way for something deep inside. Something that wasn't me. Lapis root, sapphire. These do not grow in such a wet climate. I smelled ale and smoke as Will leaned in. His lips were but inches from mine.
The Viro!
Stars and the full moon. Is this what that dwarf's poem was talking about?
Vocod lacias.
The rat sniffed me, then waddled away. All right. Does anyone know how to open the damn thing? I'd been robbed.
Inveniam viam.
All memory and all future was lost. There were no parasites to cleanse and no monster to vanquish. Yes. The corpse stirred. Dead flesh laced with magic. My fingers clanged loudly against the strings. The bard winced. I'll throw in with Asmodeus himself if it fixes our little wriggler problem. The flames fell away, a mere illusion. I was surrounded by the forest again, sitting at peace. A key. It might open the Toll House vault.
What is that? Rotting flesh? Oculus tempestatis!
Something feels off about this tree. Don't group me with the likes of them. I willed myself to crush the life out of the tadpole.
Sol invictus!
The corpse fell silent. It could answer no more questions.
Manos potentis paro! Impero mortus! Video veritatem!
So many dead. But no signs of a struggle. We'll stay cautious. There has to be a way to get everyone out intact. I pictured a silver blade cleaving through geik and their thralls, one after another. Well, well. What have we here?
Gustas dulcis.
By water still, 'neath watching trees, a hallowed place for Mother Peace. I peered through the telescope. He tapped the pick, and my eye sprang from its socket, dangling wetly on my cheek. I've heard such predictions before. I've never been the subject of them. Until you know every mind flayer that was aboard is dead, don't trust anything you see.
More intactilus sum. Mors curta.
Nature can provide for the cub. Perhaps it'll live. Looks like the hag made a shortcut. Clever,
Vita excolator!
Then his sad eyes met mine again. He would join me later, they seemed to say. You're more cunning than you look. I thought we had a fight on our hands. It's calling its pack.
Vincere est vivere! Ha!
The tadpole writhed in ecstasy. Finally the way was clear. It was coming. It was coming. It was possible I'd just claimed the squirrel's territory by right of conquest. Loth sigils on every box. If this place wasn't already abandoned, I'd set it ablaze.
Caeco te! Ah! Manus patentis paro!
Perhaps something's missing. A dirty ring landed at my feet. A bit rotten, this is. I've had worse. I never did find out why the squirrel attacked me, but I had clearly won this fight.
Frange! Ah!
She studied me for a moment before twitching her ears. Compromise. It's a Susa tree. Absorbs magic.
Tibido penas!
It shuffled back, eyes still fixed on me. A silent ultimatum.
Corpora sana!
The hideous corpse, tentacles writhing. The creature from the wreckage. As I approached, a guttural scream and a succession of quick bangs rattled the door.
Ex nihilo! Voco spicae! Demento te! Ve victis! Sicut catus! Agilius!
What was that? She hears of the tadpole and thinks we can be bound. The symbols darted beneath my eyes, warping and twisting. My head throbbed, but I almost understood. It won't move. These weapons sound worth forging, if I can find the design. I will not fail her. He was staring past me again as if I wasn't there. What creatures thrive in a lake this dismal? A stone rune, long forgotten by the looks of it. As she turned to me, her thoughts mingled with mine, a cold hand caressing my brain. And yet, beneath that building rage, I felt guilt, and the murk cleared to reveal a face. Mine. He smelt of sweat and a dusty road long travelled. And, yes, cow dung. That stench. Dead owlbear prey, no doubt. Oh, a game for surface children.
Diminuo te!
I reckon I should start a fire. He sniffed the air as I approached, then let out a huff, disappointed. I realized he was waiting for a mate.
Luques tibi placet.
Is this just for decoration? Useless. Every abomination would be gutted and burned to ash. Blood, sweat, and dust. Always the fight, and the singing, screaming joy of it. The dog considered me with a cock of his head. Wariness lingered in his stance. We did what we did. Let's just see this through to the end. It breathed deep, unfurling my past in a vibrant chain. To it, I wasn't a halfling, but rather... The bird only hopped aside, picking at my foot, and then back to worrying over his nest. Pincers pierced my flesh, and pain shot up my arm and across my back. Wait, why did that strange dog collar just vibrate? I tasted the ale on his tongue and the bile in his soul.
Macesque ade!
A pause, and then the flicker of a tongue across my neck. I belonged with my people, down in the dark that never ceased. Here lies Connor, beloved husband, and a tasty little morsel to boot. If that was true, Moonrise must be a reference to Shah's divine sister, Selûne. Phew. It's broken.
Quadico face.
Clearly we're not going to agree on this. Better to keep moving. What the? This stuff is everywhere. Selûnite rubbish.
Peri venenum cave curculum.
Sunshine, summer without ending. And with it the sadness. Selûnite drivel. What's this symbol on it? The crab sat in a damp spot that darkened the corner of my bag. We need to find him before it's too late. The growl deepened, then burst forth in a roar. I've got the blueprint and the Susa bark. Now to seek a forging tool. Animating spores. The myconid means to raise the dead.
Manos patentis paro.
Will had slept next to me. He was still there when my eyes opened. It feels like my magic is getting drained. Keep your guard high. Let's move on.
Mos tua vita mea.
Another helpless soul begging to be rescued. That wasn't like any spell I've ever seen before. She trailed off. I read an invitation in her eyes. Puts me in the mood to kill the rest of them, if I'm being honest. I could hear the gentle scratch of something against the pot lid. I'm glad we can agree on this.
Gela.
I recognized the Druids, or their garb at least. Elders of a Druid circle. This was once a sacred place to my people, a divine sanctuary.
Clearly, we're not going to agree. Let the matter drop.
The glass feels warm. Just an old prayer.
Cupio, virtus, laetet.
The bear licked her lips, still grateful for the snack.
Ah! Locked from the inside. Ugh, I haven't been this sick since I landed here. Curculus mortis.
Then the creature spoke in visions. An army marched across Faerun. It hissed, eyes flashing at my strange smell.
Interlego.
The whispers, the pain, it all disappeared in an instant. I was myself again. The tadpole writhed in ecstasy. Finally, the way was clear. It was coming. It was coming. I sensed a raging cauldron of pain and fury. She wanted me no closer to her.
Ex nihilo.
More visions. The skies burned with hellfire. The screams of a million mind flayers split my head. Then it settled. Turning him over was the right thing to do. Nothing's happening, but it doesn't look broken. I can't forge a weapon without starting a fire. I wondered if it could hear these thoughts, if it knew I was planning a rebellion.
That smell.
I don't know what he read, but it had an effect. His eyes were hungry, but pained.
The tieflings have teeth after all.
Ha! Hopefully it comes no closer.
Get out! Get out of my head! Mortalis!
They've come to their senses, so... yes? This text is ancient, a dedication to a forgotten god. We should see if there's a chance to use his power again. Challenge the gods for their domain. I'd settle for getting my own brain back.
Stabilio!
The ox swayed his head back and forth, looking for new things to smell. We must be desperate indeed to throw in with her.
Looks like Halsin's our best bet for a cure.
Dry stones lined the wall. At the bottom, something gleamed in the dappled light. I'm not one for manual labor, but this might just be worth it. Impressive armor. Drow handiwork? A mind flayer. No intention of letting that happen. My kin's dragons should be savoring this kill.
The talons sank deep. The owlbear lunged forward to strike again.
A perfect ring of mushrooms. Nature or magic?
Tuebor!
The owlbear stared, then sharply inhaled my scent.
Looks like there's a little shrine over there.
First came ice, shivers from top to toe as our lips touched.
Voco Glacius!
Only a fool would resist such power. She was excited to find this person in Baldur's Gate. They had something she wanted.
Ah!
Their empty alien eyes haunted me through a night of fitful sleep.
Come. We shouldn't linger here. Seems like that Selûnite amulet might catch your eye, Gale.
The owlbear's brute strength was too much. Its blow hammered into me. The cub shook. Its heart hammered against his chest as it growled.
From the looks of that book, Gale might want it. Lol's blood. What is in that? Morbidus.
My limbs did not obey my mind. My thoughts clouded. My vision blurred. All in favor, then? Let's paint that goblin camp red. Raxlin frowned in confusion at a question he would never have asked. The tadpole squirmed in my mind. It seemed sated. A dangerous place to stock goods. Even for a Zent. It's a city chief. The jewel of the coast. And as close to a home as I've got.
One of the 9 hells. Canto te!
The tadpole writhed in ecstasy. Finally the way was clear. It was coming. It was coming.
Vincit qui patitor! Someone's in trouble. We have to help.
I felt no gratitude. Only shock, pain, and bloodlust. I noted her grimace of pain. I realized there was something wrong with her legs.
Disturbing, you mean?
My skull sizzled with Raxlin's displeasure. His mouth was still, yet I heard his demand. This is Lolth's descent into the Underdark. Looks like her Drider champions tearing open some mind flayers. His lips smacked together wetly, and left a trail of saliva on my foot. The tablet's in the same style as those glowing runes. Sounds like they've captured themselves a bard.
What in the hells? You're a vampire! Ostende secretorum tuorum!
The tadpole writhed in ecstasy. Finally, the way was clear. It was coming. It was coming.
Ha!
More dreams, delusions, and lies. With this thing in our heads, how can we trust each other?
Dolor!
There was no peace in that truth. Only an unease that stole away any chance of sleep. It's opened. I wonder what's back there. I've the plans and the Sousa bark. Now I just need a forge. The echoes of the drumbeat faded to silence. Look at that.
Precis alia ferro!
Moss. Damp, deep places in the cities that shined there.
Ira et dolor!
Something's blocking it from the other side. A victory of the celestial Selûne over her dark sister Shah.
Umbrai!
It breathed deep, unfurling my past in a vibrant chain. Not Githyanki to it, but rather...
Configo!
This would be perfect if I had Sousa bark, but I don't, so it isn't.
Corruptus! Volo non fugia!
This seems as good a place as any to make camp. Gnolls and goblins marked on the map. Travel won't be easy.
Minimus!
Now that's a lock that screams, pick me.
Copio, virtus, licet, in nocte concilium!
She chattered back, louder, and at length. I approached the gate. The foul thing was at my mercy, and I would have its head. Nothing. It's not really the time for an ogre rampage anyhow. A camp. Looks abandoned. The Dark Lady, befouled by the Absolute's mark. Heresy.
Cave curculum! Tormentum!
I felt only an echo from a sleeping mind, of a threat considered, and already dismissed. She was testing me. About Raphael. Good call. Looks like that's going to bruise. They only hunt those worth hunting.
Mutatis mutandis!
The corpse stared at me, waiting for my questions. The child continued staring past me. The flames fell away. A mere illusion. I sat in the dark again, near Lolth's majesty. The tadpole thrashed violently in my brain. My blood hummed. I was changing.
Crescit eondo, propria!
Another broken trap. Who made these things? The ox chewed and stared with disinterest.
Oh!
The voices returned, louder, stronger, commanding me to stop. The corpse let out an angry hiss of foul air, then was silent.
Veritas credo oculus!
It's planting spores. The myconid means to raise the dead. She flashed the hand signal Mole had taught me and turned away. My breath caught in my throat. The broken helmet bore the mark of my goddess, Shah, the Lady of Loss. Either way, they're better off. That's what matters.
Sicut catus!
Someone's diary. I might explain what happened here. No more prayers. Only dust and silence. Flame-walking and god-killing. A story for the ages, I reckon. And it's about us.
Caveat incantato!
The coin disappeared into the darkness, landing with a soft clink. Haven't seen that game in years. Stars and moons like that dwarf's poem said. And these plates can be turned. The flames cooled, dispelled as the image I knew emerged again. Wild, glorious magic. The corpse seemed willing to speak, but not to me. The tadpole jolted deep within my brain. This was it. A single word pervaded my consciousness. Soon. Is someone singing? My skull sizzled with Ragslin's displeasure. His mouth was still, but I heard his demand. We're in the Underdark. I'm home. First cake, now this monstrosity. Burned from the inside out. Whose work is this, I wonder? A great taut drum sat before me, One strike would likely ring for miles, alerting goblin reinforcements. Every night that passed was another night the monster inside me grew. It's ready to go. Time to get to work. Armed scribes. But no sign of a struggle. What's next? No opening this with that lock still on it. He evaluated his collection and made a happy jump. He chirped his thanks, leaving the coin aside. I'm done. I can't wait to sleep.
Vita mortis cario!
I caught a Styrian trying to drink my blood last night. I took care of him, though. He'll never prey on the living again. Won't budge. Then we agree. Keep an eye out. And perhaps we can fix our mistake.
Ah!
Oh. At the back of the crevice lay a bag covered with spiders. A shiny gold coin poked from its mouth. Tall stalk. Best watch my step. They like to explode. She spun in short arcs, indicating which of the trees were hers and to be left alone. What did that do? And visions consumed me once more. I looked past the Nautiloid's control panel and out the command window to see a swarm of Githyanki dragon riders.
Tare!
What the hells? There was a creature trapped inside. Something's moving around in there. Despair does us no good. Let us look forward and push on. If this ship hits the ground, we're dead. Where did he go? Imps on a Ga'ath. I watched the squirrel closely and shifted my foot an inch to the left. The tadpole squirmed with glee. It was clearing the way for something deep inside. Something that wasn't me. Where's Shadowheart? But then its grip clawed back with a vengeance. A vice locked my mind into obedience. Will nodded silently. I closed my eyes and let darkness take me. He was gone before first light broke. Music to Githyanki ears. The flames cooled, dispelled as the image I knew emerged again. Blood and darkness.
Kaikote!
The tadpole writhed. My mind suddenly reeled as if bitten. There's a breeze down here. Wonder where it's coming from. I watched the squirrel closely for a moment, but her motivations eluded me. Sounds like someone's in trouble. The dog's aggression seemed to subside a little. He sniffed the air uncertainly. A tidy slot, but no rune. Forbidden knowledge, without a doubt. Something's waiting up ahead.
Ah!
Dum vita est, spes est. The worst of the blow was deflected away. The owlbear shrieked in outrage.
Dissolve!
He recoiled. Was I a monster too?
Tu es nihil!
Glad that caught my eye. What beautiful music.
Tuebo!
Oh, yes. Rexlin's mind was clouded by doubt, surprised once more by words he didn't expect. Already dead.
Suage!
You know, I can't tell if it's mourning, angry, or just hungry. I perceived myself as it did. A cloud of shifting scents, both strange and familiar. Agreed, then. We'll do whatever it takes to stop the true souls.
Te vedeo!
With the desperate squeal, the boar dashed past me before I could strike. The tadpole writhed in ecstasy. Finally, the way was clear. It was coming. It was coming.
Ah! Precis alia ferro!
It would have been quicker to kill them. My skull pounded in response to the prisoner's white-hot stare. Her lips didn't move, yet I heard her voice. The corpse's head lolled back as the magic faded. The spell was done. Her tiny body shook. Fear curdled into despair. The featherless ones were cruel.
Vivat crescat floriat! Inficio!
Whatever it was, it didn't look good. No more prayers. Only silence and dust. Warm, wet tentacles wrapped themselves around my head. And for the first time in my life, these things are still in our heads. Are we bringing monsters home with us?
Mors incurta, vita catissima!
The tadpole quivered. It seemed to be burrowing deeper in my mind, feasting on what? The word escaped me. That cage won't last. Too much dust to be a new outpost. I wonder why my brethren abandoned this place. Another pod from the ship. Could there be other survivors? Looks like someone's not a fan of Shah. Smeared the absolute symbol all over her. The telescope pointed to the left. The forest rose with claw and tooth, to tear the darkness from its roots.
Scio didici pecto!
Ah! My finger!
Demento te!
That kind of weakness sickens me. Ugh. I could feel our connection, our longing to be opened, to share our secrets.
Perure!
The monster's tentacles twitched weakly. It wouldn't last much longer. Its voice shivered across my brain, seeking access, trying to bend my will to its bidding. Sleep came for me as I counted the fields of the dead soon to grow.
Voco Aranii!
It was like fireworks in my skull. His trust was quickly waning. A goblin healer? That's a new one. But she might be the only way to keep our skulls intact. The work of the hag. No doubt about it. Useless.
Veniet juve me, vis medicatrix, horribilissimus.
Arguing is just going to attract more attention. Better to let this drop. Looks like that's going to bruise. The tadpole writhed. My mind suddenly reeled as if bitten. These things abandon their hosts as soon as they need to. Vile parasites. I can feel the poison clearing. I'm cured. The Druid's poison is spreading. I need a cure. Fast!
Gigans!
I can't even see a lock to pick. Health. We're attracting too much attention. The spell elicited a gasp. A weak echo of life. Again visions flowed through me. I looked past a Nautiloid's control panel and out the command window to see a swarm of Githyanki dragon riders. Wait. This looks familiar.
Lux in tenebra.
She's not breathing. Apart from an overgrowth of moss, the well looked unremarkable. All the more reason to hurry. It breathed deep, unfurling my past in a vibrant chain. Not a tiefling to it, but rather... It slithered off my hand and vanished into the undergrowth.
More of those things!
The chicken swayed, heart pounding even as her eyes drifted closed. Exhausted. These flowers. What is this feeling? That was a phase spider. Better watch out, it might come back. Why trust this so-called priestess? I doubt she knows anything about the Gake. I've been robbed again. The bear's nose twitched nervously. Familiar sense, but no trace of Halcyon. The tadpole jolted deep within my brain. This was it. A single word pervaded my consciousness. Soon. Not a good sign that they're bursting to life everywhere. Another vision consumed me. A memory. Seen through the creature's soul-dead eyes. The crab stayed tense as it cowered in my shadow.
Vita, mortis, cario.
Rage slithered through him, hot and black. It squeezed me, suffocated me.
Dialino.
Dead goblins. Dead travelers. I can't see any way to disarm it. One wrong move and I'd have been a statue. Imprisoned for eternity. This wall's ready to tumble.
Mos tua vita mea, volo non fugia!
The lute twanged loudly as the tiefling abruptly stopped singing. Saluna, the night white lady. There's something underneath here.
Intactilis sum, voco morus! Risus abundat!
Is this the Underdark? Gods take me. Welcome to Joaquin's Rest. West Baldur's Gate, East Elturel. Under the strange and open sky, sleep claimed me. The spider skittered about, more nervous than before.
Dissera!
I didn't expect honesty. We're not exactly close. Just then I noticed my bags felt lighter than before. The creature quickly wormed its way into the undergrowth and vanished. This story is no prophecy. It is superstition, a lie devised to mask ignorance.
Precis alia ferro.
The owlbear recoiled with a shriek of pain, blinded and enraged. The bear's nostrils quivered as it took in the aftermath of the battle. It growled, soft and sad. As the pain muddled my thoughts, I felt her reaching out to me psionically. I poked and prodded, but the lock held strong. This also missed. Well, it's too late to change now.
Ad vitam aeternam, interlego.
No trigger or handle, though. No way to open it. Broken bones. Must have fallen. The crab rested in a trench of mud. It looked half asleep. A sword like this would certainly get Gale's attention.
Resisto venenum! Ade.
It says there's a cellar here somewhere. Let's take the good news and go. There'll be plenty of other trouble along the way. The goblin's already gone. We're settled on it.
Incertus pulcher imperio.
The corpse became quiet. It had nothing further to say. A lone cub isn't much of a threat.
Ut ventus stultissime.
That wall's barely holding together. Brine. That's what they use for those parasites. Where's Helia? Smoke. Something's burning. Ragslin remained composed. If he sensed my manipulations, he gave no sign. This place reeks of death. A war drum. One of those can summon fighters far and wide. Get back! The circle will fall into darkness if we don't intervene. I could not rest. How is it possible staring at the wrong side of the stars? Seems to be stuck. Te execro! The bird sat back in satisfaction, admiring his nest. The tadpole jolted deep within my brain. This was it. A single word pervaded my consciousness. Soon, the creatures clutched the pouch possessively. Was gold so precious to spiders? What was that? Obedi May. I'd say the swamp is a breath of fresh air compared to the hag, but not really. Such fury. I do not envy the dragon's prey. Were you so ignorant of your lessons? It's a city, the most vulgar along the coast. It breathed deep, unfurling my past in a vibrant chain. Not an elf to it, but rather an amulet of Selûne. I think Gale might want this. Hells, I wouldn't want to get hit by that. I've got the blueprint and the Sousa bark. Now, I need a forging tool. Dwergar corpses. What is this beast doing to them? Horribilissimos! Mundus volticipi. I always knew I was destined for something great. I'll leave the details to Alunda. Culpio virtus licet! The splendor of the upper city, where petty conflicts between noble families have been my only concern. And I felt answers. She knew more about my condition. This fairy ring isn't glowing like the rest. The crab sat in a dark corner of my bag, still damp from the beach. The creature responded, not in words, but memories. This should burn going down. We'll raise the entire camp to the ground. It's exactly what they deserve. What kind of contraption is this? The fresco showed a powerful group of druids gathered in Eldeth's name. I was on sacred ground. Good. Let's go. Extende! Flagra! Sharp, deep, and still fresh. Ostende secretorum tuorum. It's back. They're trying to escape! The mural showed druid and beast fighting together to drive monsters from their land. The crab plunged into the darkness and hit the bottom of my bag with a wet thunk. Wings flapped as a chicken squawked. Yes, they would fear her. They would pay. Here lies Zevlor. He saved us in our darkest hour. Thank you, friend. My people had survived the drow, the dwergar, and every monster the Underdark had to offer. A mind flare was nothing. The rat gestured towards the chest, chittering angrily. It bit down on nothing, but winced all the same. Volo reluctantly jabbed at Minsk's eye with his pick, and then rammed it home. Minsk hollered in pain, or victory. It was hard to tell which. The tadpole writhed. My mind suddenly reeled as if bitten, which instantly passed as I heard a wet squelch. I dropped the lifeless tadpole. Damihi facta! Resisto venenum! He's gone. Left this morning. Ha! Those people were enthralled. How did we break that mind flayer's influence? Nocturnus! Bet this book of necromancy has some hefty magic in it. Gale, what do you think? Volo tore the pick from my brain with a violent jerk. My eye plopped to the ground. Ow! The tiefling was overwhelmed by a memory, a warg sinking its teeth into a young man's neck. Guilt flooded his mind and tightened his muscles. Drowcraft armor. No magic left, though. Sun's too bright. The bear looked back in the direction of the goblin camp and growled. He licked his wounds dejectedly. Perure! Ugh! Don't stop singing. They snuffed out their own souls when they dealt with Zariel. Let's not get involved. Espridae me. Shadow druids. This Korga is not to be trusted. These boots have clearly been enchanted with powerful magic. Do not trust anything here. Oh! Handy magic, that. Maybe it'll be of use to us. You heard them. More goblins could be on their way. Something didn't like that. Manus potentis paro. Vis medicatrix. Voco flagella. Gigans! hiding in plain sight. You would submit to these vermin. Cainture! It acknowledged me with a light snap of claws, like a fond greeting. The dog tilted his head and whined softly. The wolf's fur bristled. He wanted to jump, wanted to bite. Voko Avina! My heart sank. 2 days. I wasn't sure if I had 2 hours. I needed a healer now, or who knows what that worm in my brain would do. Hideous trinket, lacking in function or taste. The vision was simple. A stone altar to Lolth, the knife upon it bloody with sacrifice. More Beedus. As if you didn't have enough parasites already. And with this gake larva curled up in my skull, no doubt pleased with itself. The echoes of the drumbeat faded to silence. Things look different. Ad vitam aeternum! In darkest hour, a concord made, twixt harp and wild against the shade. No lock, no handle. How does it open? Look at that beast. Seems almost too big to take flight. Vita excolator! A giant nest. Let's see what we can find. I'm surprised she didn't cut us at the knees on the way out. We cannot trust her. The corpse had nothing further to say to me. Disgust churned deep in my stomach. I resigned myself to a night without sleep. Ad maiorum de gloriam! The creature in the wreckage was forcing them to attack me, controlling them like puppets. Obedi me. Canto te! Ah! Strange place for a button. Especially one that doesn't work. A magical staff. Will this be of use, Gale? Tues nihil! I deftly dropped the tadpole and crushed it under my heel. She gave a great yawn and settled back down to sleep. The hag's doing. It has to be. The corpse lay still. It would speak to me no more. Would have liked to know that from the start. Bit too late for that, though, isn't it? I know she was a goblin, but killing someone defenseless in a cage. Everyone's safe for now. Let's hope it stays that way. Ha ha! Pulso! As our minds slipped together, I felt a hand on Astarian's chin, guiding him, controlling him. No, this isn't right. Suddenly, something convulsed inside me. My vision lurched, sickeningly. I could feel the orb beating away inside my chest, a second heart that would herald either death or dominion. The owlbear's feathers ruffled defensively. Oh. Voco patentia! First came ice. Shivers from top to toe as our lips touched. The tadpole jolted deep within my brain. This was it. A single word pervaded my consciousness. Soon. Faccio, voco, fere, te occludo oculus! A prayer sheet. What's this symbol on it? Viviro! These creatures won't let go of us until we're dead. How are we supposed to cure that? The corpse gazed at me and awaited the next question. More importantly, where'd it go? Damihi factor. That hunter's out of the way. Astarian shouldn't have to look over his shoulder anymore. Pulcrior. I fumbled the strings, but a song began to appear. The bard closed her eyes. Seluna. She who guides. No, I would only be a failure if I stopped fighting. And then dropped to her knees. Let's see if they want to have their blood spilled. Oribus teneo lupum. It's huge. Oh. The bear lay in quiet grief. Without Halsin or the other bear, he was alone. His ears twitched as I spoke, but his eyes didn't shift from my tail. He saw me as a threat. The owlbear reared back before I could strike. A blur of talons lashed out. They wanted tieflings out. They got their wish. Inexpugnabilis, voco nubes. This sensation. These flowers are absorbing all the magic in the air. Gela. Let her rot. The Absolute's allies deserve no better. Hardly a welcoming sight. Tenebra propria. One of the beasts swooped near and spurted a jet of flame, scorching the deck. I sense magic. But where? I could feel the book's pull. I could feel its power. This goes very far down. We'll have to go in to see the bottom. The bird's feathers ruffled impatiently. She had places to be. You can't summon a dead ogre, it turns out. Omnia mutantor. The corpse stirred in response to my spell. Veritas, credo, oculus. The glaive the Druid's notebook mentioned. Its owner thought it was cursed. Lae'zel is still back there. Should I just abandon her? Imperote. A dead drow. Hardly a welcoming sight. All memory and all future was lost. There were no parasites to cleanse and no monsters to vanquish. This place wasn't built for the living. What is this place?
Te occludo oculus!
The pillar can't hold it. Too badly damaged. We're getting nowhere. Let's just go. Dead. They're only good for kindling now. Flowers as a light source. Necessity really is the mother of invention. As I neared the end of my tale, I felt his excitement turn to fear. Monstrous creatures! Without answers, I lay haunted for the rest of the night. My voice drew their attention. They were suspicious, then curious, and finally, at rest. Hag can't have gone far. I saw him holding me by the throat. I saw him taking the amulet off my corpse. She'll tear me in two for touching her egg. That thing could swallow each of us whole. But it didn't lunge again. Instead, it clawed at the ground, glaring a challenge. These webs are everywhere. We'll have to keep an eye out for more. The goblins slunk backwards, afraid to take their eyes off me. We need to get out of here, now! My honor could be restored before Vlaakith. It would be restored. Humans. What did they expect? Risus abundat! Glyphs shifted gently before my eyes, always just out of focus. Then words started slipping into my mind. Te execro! Kitios! It was unnecessarily odd. A small, noisy pest with a bushy tail. Our gazes met, and memories of last night's dream coursed through me. The tadpole jolted deep within my brain. This was it. A single word pervaded my consciousness. Soon. The goblin's corpse grunted and spasmed. I found a current of hope flowing through her thoughts. She believed we had a real chance. There's magic keeping this chest sealed. I can feel its aura. The tadpole jolted deep within my brain. This was it. A single word pervaded my consciousness. Soon. It's damaged, but not beyond repair. That symbol in the blood. What does it mean? Dula! Incende! Are we really going to hunt a devil on their behalf? A mouse couldn't squeeze through those vines. Ugh! It's getting stronger. Presses, alia, pharaoh! Over there. A shrine to Seluna. By Moon Maiden's grace. I saw her hand in my bags. And the shame in her heart. How could I even think of harming something so beautiful? So pure. Goblins ahead. Evanesco! This is a spot Rugen marked. Doesn't look like much. I could see nothing in the darkness. Needs a key. Voco aranii! Expello te! The child stared past me as if I wasn't there. The dog's hackles raised. He wanted to be left alone with the corpse, it seemed. We might have made a mistake. Let's keep a close eye on Ethel if we see her again. I noticed something wrong with its mouth. The creature hissed at me, revealing a badly chipped tooth. Broken. Shoddy work. Vermin. On the rooftops. Yes, I felt hate. And I deserved to be punished for it. Impero mortus! No, it's a port city. One of the biggest on the Sword Coast. Ah! Voco speakai! A key. Wonder what it opens. Seems like the owner was quite the literary type. With a thunk, the armored man collapsed unconscious. Faccio voco fere! I bet Gale will want to take a look at this staff. Ah. I think the crab stopped moving. Feels like something is weighing it down. I don't care how desperate we are. Looting tombs is wrong. Those screams! Someone's trapped in that mirror. Dog-like, but too large and heavy to be scratches. And above all, they were bipedal. The book snapped closed. I had seen too much. Not that I understood what it meant. The corpse lay still, unaffected by the magic. Volo slowly brought the ice pick closer to my eye. This plane is a blister of corruption. Cupio, veritas, licet, invoco te. A sharp pain shot through my arm as my collarbone dislocated. The chains held tight. A splinter of ice worked its way into my mind. I heard the drow's voice. As if she were by my side, the crab shrunk into its shell, claws giving a lethargic twitch. Crescat scientia. A Susa tree. Spells will be unreliable. His eyes locked onto mine. His lips curled back, dripping saliva. Ludus non factum est. More of the same. Ludus non factum est. It breathed deep, unfurling my past in a vibrant chain. Not a gnome to it, but rather... The gnome's mind raced at an impossible speed. I couldn't grasp a single thought. Incertus pulcher imperio. Yes! The bird chirped happily and skipped a little. She seemed to be remembering someone she was very fond of. Wherever they were, fear and hope filled the chicken's eyes as she stared deep into my soul. Help! The kiss stretched on while I carefully slid off the ring. He was too weak still, but he couldn't truly rest until his master came home. The dog tilted his head and whined softly in recognition.
Inexpugnabilis.
The dead goblin was silent. Even magic could not coax more words from him.
A cave beneath a tavern. I wonder how deep it runs.
What's that? Whoever built it, they've let it rot for ages.
Tenebra.
It seemed whatever had caused the damage was in there. His dark eyes stared at me, waiting for this danger to be banished. Dog-like, but too large and heavy to be this dog's. And above all, they were bipedal.
Oh, fresh goblin stench. They're close.
They're trying to escape again!
The telescope pointed straight ahead.
Must have been fishing when these monsters came. Bad luck. Dum vita est, spes est.
Lagilo! Diminue!
We shattered its hold on those people. How is that possible? Finely aged wine. Don't mind if I do.
The tadpole squirmed with glee. It was clearing the way for something deep inside. Something that wasn't me. The tadpole squirmed in my mind. It seemed sated.
But you heard them. More goblins could be on their way.
Mortem tuum sum!
A lot of rotten food and old blood. Was this a sacrifice or a party gone wrong? That stench! A body must have been here a good while.
Teleported right into the Underdark.
Lovely. I feel a presence here, a power. The patron god of this place.
Tenebra!
My pack went still. I wonder what the crab's up to.
Dialino!
For a brief moment, all I felt was a heavy silence.
Dire! Ah!
I could listen to this forever.
But they couldn't stop me. All I had to do was strike.
Lae'zel held my gaze, searching for signs of weakness.
Tormentum. Loquer tibi placet.
This debate's over. Everyone is going to make their own choices no matter what's said.
It wasn't uncommon for my brethren to fight dark forces in our lands. But this looked like something different.
The fresco showed some druids blessing a damp cave. A weak ritual for a weak goddess.
I didn't know what the next day might bring. But that night, it no longer mattered. There was only us. The kiss stretched on as I fumbled to get hold of the ring.
Resisto ignum.
At least the cub has a fighting chance now. Yes. It's a good thing we were here.
Cave coculum.
The flames fell away, a mere illusion. I was surrounded by the Feywild again, a gleam with revelry. The crab was curled in its shell, clinging tightly to its home.
We have made an ally from an enemy. Quite judicious.
The dog whined softly, as if in recognition.
I'm still missing the Susa bark. The bark is in place. Now, for a great sword, dagger, or sickle.
Te ad stringo linguam.
Corruptus!
My skull ached before I could take a step, and I was the creature. I saw the tieflings through the bars of her cage. I felt her irritation and indignity.
Gnolls ripped the flesh from victims and goblins burned the land. This was the absolute. Destruction. Power.
Never mind. Let's settle in, shall we?
Her fingers were warm against my cheek, softer than I expected.
A quiet peace settled in my heart.
Ad maiorum de gloriam.
She froze, her muscles tense with alarm.
A glistening tadpole emerged, slithering up past a sightless eyeball.
Maleus.
Realization dawned. He was describing how to open something. A door?
More survivors. They're trying to dig somebody out of the wreckage.
Perry.
The bird chirped his disagreement and resolutely pushed the coin to the right. I dropped the book and felt better the second it hit the ground.
That was not what I expected to see today.
Nor was there rest. She took fully of me, hour after hour, until I had no sweat or soul left to give. As its influence waned, they clutched their heads, blinking in confusion.
The tadpole writhed. My mind suddenly reeled as if bitten. Terrible aftertaste. Maybe if it was stuck in a bit of brine.
Stripped raw and restless, I found no peace that night. Darkest one. Moonrise. They meant nothing to me.
The tadpole squirmed in my mind. It seemed sated. No sound escaped my lips, but a faint gurgling.
The creature lay twisted on the ground, stirring as magic coursed through it.
Chuk! I still require Susa bark.
Quite the welcome. The tadpole jolted deep within my brain. This was it. A single word pervaded my consciousness. Soon.
I could feel the darkness radiating from the book. It was delicious.
A sweet melody played above the waves, beckoning.
Stabilio.
When I turned back, he was gone. Again.
I threw the crab in the bottom of my bag. It attempted to swim, mystified by the lack of water.
These little markings look like goblins and gnolls. Right in our path.
Then she plopped her head back down, already dreaming of a quiet home and glorious sleep.
Tempestus. Detona.
My ring. It lit up. It must be resonating here.
Sweat and deep fire. Singing stone and shapes waiting within.
Viam sapientiae.
Baldur's Gate. Sounds like a useful waypoint.
He didn't speak his next words, yet they still rattled my skull from within.
Timusks. Known to cause confusion. Best not get too close.
The talons sliced through thin air where I just stood. The owlbear shrieked in outrage.
More of the Mind Flayer's pets. Odd necklace. Might sell for a few coppers. Pretty. But it doesn't do much. Aggression. Someone cut these men to pieces. I doubt they had time to scream. Gake parasites thrive in this secretion. Disgusting.
Ignis!
This must have belonged to Lenore's dog. Definitely magical, too. People up ahead. Something's wrong. A Selûnite shrine over there. Left to rot by the looks of it. Good.
A single ear twitch was the bear's only acknowledgement of me. She needed her sleep. Her eyes widened at my tale as she listened intently. He produced the ice pick, wiped it on his cuff, and held it to my eye.
Interlego. Erdlin's teat, that's nasty. Vis medicatrix.
With a last warning flash of teeth, she settled back down.
The agony refused to fade until I collapsed against my bedroll in a cold sweat. It looks like that idol is enchanted. Might be worth getting a hold of for Gale.
The tadpole writhed. My mind suddenly reeled as if bitten.
Where do you think those dragons went?
The scene showed druids blessing the grove for Mother Peace, a term for the blessed goddess Eldeth.
But there's still life left in this old thing.
The tadpole squirmed in my mind. It seemed sated.
Dolor.
Oh!
What's that?
Venia tu verme.
The warning lowered into an admonishment reserved for foolish cubs.
The tadpole jolted deep within my brain. This was it. A single word pervaded my consciousness.
Soon, cold metal pressed against the skin beneath my brow, and then
Aqua pura.
Something here is disturbing the weave. Magic might be unreliable. Gake aren't the only abominations here, it seems. It should be hard enough. Time to put this forge to work. Webs all the way down.
Every breath, every blink proved exhausting. A long day awaited me.
The tadpole slipped out of its dead host and disappeared into the undergrowth. Perhaps I can still wring something useful from this old forge.
The dog whimpered and nuzzled my hand, as if to urge me on.
Baldur's Gate felt almost like a dream after everything that had happened to me.
Then came fire, as her fingers raced up and down my back, seeking more.
He seemed almost protective of the corpse.
Ut ventus.
Might be other survivors.
Da mihi facta. Non compos mentis.
Ragslin's mind resisted my penetration. He spoke his first question. A god's idol has to have some magic lingering in it. Your sort of thing, Gale?
Then a wheeze of concern. He sensed something in me, or rather, something I carried.
Palidamors.
Beautiful and terrifying. Not the most ideal outcome. But I'm not falling on anyone's sword yet.
Ale me.
Yes, I was countless miles away, but it wasn't an impossible journey. Every day I lived with this abomination in my head, I put others at risk.
Invoco te.
Let it listen. I dream of all the ways to make this power mine.
For someone who just heard we're all beasties in waiting, she reacted, well,
Oribus teneo lupum.
Well done. The world's better off without it.
The squirrel lunged at my foot and bit it.
Timmy.
The Druids must have turned to the harpers for help. Unusual for such a territorial group.
Or her cub.
Where has she gone, I wonder?
My fingers searched, but found no bag. Had it been a trick of the light?
Ah, this tastes like mouldy bellbuck. Canto te!
And just like that, it's gone.
Inveniam viam.
More where this came from. Something's controlling them. I can feel it. Faint, but alive. Weapon blueprints that use Sousa bark? Rare find.
Nor was there rest. I took fully of her until I drained her of all ecstasy.
The corpse awaited my questions.
Lux in tenebra.
They're just common folk. Have some sympathy.
Veniet juva me.
Master weapons. The blueprints can't be far.
A flash of anger pulsed through my brain, and I felt cold metal at my throat. Then I came back to myself.
With a jolt, I recognized the crest she bore. The winged serpent of the Black Network. Not sure, but we better find out.
Oh, kudo!
Looks like the ritual worked. The whole grove is walled in.
The corpse stirred. It was ready to speak.
Vivet crescat floriat.
The owlbear bellowed in surprise, glaring at me accusingly. Either way, I doubt we've seen the end of this. Let's move on.
I followed the squirrel's gaze to a pair of clumsy, ugly feet. My own, on her territory.
How could I have been caught off guard on the nautiloid? What was my mistake?
The boar stared with beady, panicked eyes. Then, it bolted off.
He looked over at the stone door and trampled impatiently. His master had promised a companion.
I lurched forward into a body trapped in darkness. And yet, I felt calm. At home, even. My head felt like it was about to burst. The memory consumed my mind, corrupting the trance.
I could barely get enough of him as the hours passed.
Teve deo!
Suddenly I was with him. I was hauled into a great storm with, as its eye, an orb beating with malevolence.
How does this pastry taste worse the second time?
Invoco te.
Let's put the question to bed for now. Time to carry on. I can't work without a blueprint.
My anger was clarifying, pure and bright. It burned away my doubts.
The rat hissed and scurried away.
Ah!
Our minds brushed against one another, but were swiftly parted. The flames cooled, dispelled as the image I knew emerged again. Nature's sublime beauty.
After you.
Precis alia ferro. Glacius.
Can't change what's already done. Let's go.
When the image came, the pain was sharper than before, like a mind flayer scraping its claws across my skull.
Her eyes went wide. She nodded nervously and turned away.
The Sousa tree is native to the Underdark, if my teachings were correct.
The fog lifted, and a low growl bubbled from the back of her throat. Harp and wild. I recalled stories of an alliance between Druids and the Harpers. Could this have been it?
Resisto ignum.
The bear's nose twitched. She was up and gulping down the fish in an instant.
There's only one place I'm finding a Sousa tree. The Underdark. We need to get out of here. Before it's our turn. Indeed. These creatures are mightier than they look. This must be where the gnolls attacked.
Mos animi.
I felt this was a purge unlike any I'd ever seen. A sacred cleansing of the land.
It's beautiful. This necklace's sigil was also in the cave. The Harpers have been unusually active here.
Oh!
This cowl's definitely enchanted. Gale could use this.
Ad lapidem.
I'll be there soon, my lady. Moradin's bloody beard. I'm not waiting around for that to happen to us. Another mystery. Might fit that chest.
As the trance stabilized, I breathed deep. Be it cure or cage, something had to be done about the tadpole.
That song.
The forest rose with claw and tooth to tear the darkness from its roots.
My brain screamed in agony, as if my skull had contracted. The creature spoke in my mind. They are mine.
Detono!
No, it was nothing. The bear let out a disappointed huff.
Tiswa, this tart is disgusting.
One by one, the spiders retreated to the rear of the crevice. lulled by my murmurs.
His ears twitched as he lowered his head, inviting me to pet him.
Tempestus, veritas credo oculus, incertus pulcher imperio.
The tadpole writhed in ecstasy. Finally, the way was clear. It was coming. It was coming.
The bear extended her snout to sniff at me, then lunged.
Wherever we are, it's falling apart. These melodies.
As his influence waned, my assailants lowered their weapons, blinking in confusion.
I belonged with dark stone and black iron. There was work to be done. An owlbear egg. These are supposed to be worth a fortune. Looks like we're in Eltergard. Some distance from the city of Baldur's Gate. The forge at the blacksmith's house should do. This halcyon has been studying the tadpole, releasing a feral little goblin into the wild. What could go wrong? It's hopeless. Sylvanus's will holds these vines in place.
The tadpole squirmed with glee. It was clearing the way for something deep inside. Something that wasn't me.
Eactote!
Pain shot through my body as the needle snagged on my optic nerve.
A sigil of the Harpers. Odd for their kind to misplace this.
Ade!
Tight fit. I won't be getting back in that way.
Suspicion flooded Ragslin's mind. My brain howled as I forced a final query into his throat.
Rah!
The bird hesitated for a second, then pushed the coin away.
Well, that was pathetic.
Imperote!
Cum mortuus in lingua mortua.
Click.
Resisto mortem!
If only I knew where to find some.
It breathed deep, unfurling my past in a vibrant chain. Not a dwarf to it, but rather...
What are those? Something's burrowed in there. Something big.
I threw the owlbear's strike off balance. It shrieked, feathers ruffled.
Did we just place our faith in a goblin? This thing must be warping our minds already.
The crab was on guard the moment I approached.
I could leave now, or step closer and die.
Stay out of my head!
The tadpole writhed in ecstasy. Finally, the way was clear. It was coming. It was coming.
Think I found something.
Our minds connected, and I drowned in Lozelle's deep longing. I saw a Githyanki woman pale as death, her face contorted by desire.
Oh, we'll do a lot more than that. You can get anything in the city.
Voco nubes!
Tap. Tap. Stab.
The book saw me in my entirety and found me unworthy. I'd rather not discuss what happened next. You'd have to be a fool to pick a fight with that lot. Best to keep away for now. Blessings of the Moon Maiden. Praise her.
Sine me tu!
The tadpole squirmed in my mind. It seemed sated.
I saw a goblin pinned, screaming as the cub ripped the soft flesh of the belly, its beak stained red. Lucky those bandits valued their own hides over their loot.
Vincere est vivere!
Her mind entered mine, a splinter of ice piercing my memories.
Intactilis sum.
Confusio!
Amongst them a buried truth. She knew goblins and knew what to do, if she trusted herself.
Erectio inspira!
It was furious. Rage, red-hot and destructive, blazed within it. Tear, hunt, kill.
Macesque! Tibido penas! Tibido penas!
Not useful at the moment. And look at that statue. Hey! What's the matter with you? You could feed an army with an egg that size, if you found an intact one. Falling into my trance should have been as easy as breathing. Yet peace eluded me. That chair leg could make for a fine weapon. Chest's unlocked. My prayers are answered. A gake ship. Disgusting.
She flinched, eyes widening in alarm. She licked her chops, tongue running over old scars.
That statue. It seems they worshipped some kind of scholar. I felt Ragslin's suspicions. He'd never have asked about his master. I remained in control. Barely. Free. For now.
Oribus teneo lupum!
Mellow brown eyes regarded me lazily, before the beast returned her gaze to her master.
Wyvern poison is as deadly as she said. Better be careful. The Underdark. A foolish place to hide contraband. Even for a Zent.
Loques sed tibi placet!
But then she changed. Pale skin turned to red. Horns pushed through her hair. Her smile cut through my desire like a blade. Looks like some kind of magical contraption. Now, to get it to work.
The tadpole squirmed with glee. It was clearing the way for something deep inside. Something that wasn't me.
Voco Vineai!
Broken. Must have been here a while.
The Druids drove monsters from this land once, but their power had long since waned. Resurges!
I can't tell if this is a temple or a library.
With a scornful flick of her tail, the squirrel scampered away.
The bird hopped about a small pile of trinkets, pushing a coin around, assessing the best placement for it. A heavy silence settled in my heart as I stared at the grave, and I would find it, no matter the cost.
Oh, Vlaakith tests me.
Inficio! Sine metu!
I choked on black smoke as the hobgoblin screeched his incantation.
It's loose. One could push away from tumbling.
Donitras!
Expensive imports, no doubt. A shame they've wilted. A shame they've wilted. These must have cost a fortune.
Tekuro! What the hells? Get back!
The boar strutted proudly, head held high. He was glad to be alive. Thick stone and heavy dark. Fire deep and wide and cold.
Blessings from the Moon Maiden, and bearing the same symbol as that chest.
A low hiss, a warning. The cub wanted me gone. It breathed deep, unfurling my past in a vibrant chain. Not a duergar to it, but rather...
Voco Avina!
The well didn't look too deep, and the old bucket rope felt strong enough.
This seems as good a place as any to make camp.
There were no more headaches or visions, only the warmth of his body as I embraced him.
Maybe there's a healer there. Gone. Why would they chase a runt like you?
Locked to keep the evil in, or the prying eyes out. Let's see.
Odd. Protecting Astarion was the right thing to do. Let's move on.
Invisibilis!
Then it released, as I was thrust back into my own head. The foul-tempered rodent hissed at me and scurried away.
Extende! Vita mortis cario!
Good. Glad to hear we're all on the same side.
As the crab buried into the mud, it flung something metallic out of the earth. The squirrel chittered angrily at me again before flouncing away. The outer city was a decrepit hell to many, but to me it had been home. The owlbear's talons raked the ground, but did not attack.
I haven't the faintest idea. Disgusting. I'll be damned if that's in store for us.
The bird fluttered about frantically, looking for his missing treasure.
Looks like all these moon plates can be turned. Gloomy place to build a fort.
Pincers pierced my flesh. Their chitters became giggles. The intruder was punished.
Kudo!
Nature might have provided for it. Too late now.
The liquid mist, splattering uselessly upon the ground.
Fulgor!
Stratch. Hook horrors.
No one's coming. The deal is done. The tadpole writhed. My mind suddenly reeled as if bitten.
Ah. Cries for help. I must be home.
I saw nothing unusual in Lae'zel's demeanor.
Deep gnome make. But the design is anything but. What was this fort?
The boar basked in the pool, relishing the calming effects of the water.
Veritas, credo, oculus!
The bear's concern washed over me. Where was Halsin? Why wasn't he back yet?
Oh, I bet he broke his nose. Friendly place.
His eyes darted back and forth as he sniffed the air. He couldn't see them anymore, but he could smell them. Many, many strangers.
Not a good idea. For the best, I guess.
Kitius!
The bear lazily lifted her head and sniffed the air, then promptly went back to sleep.
All fired up and ready to go.
Finely aged wine. Don't mind if I do.
Crackling flame and music. If they're celebrating, I'm not sure I want to know why.
I noticed as she was trembling. The tears streaming down her cheeks were indeed real.
I'm no metalsmith, but I believe I need some fire.
Te video!
Better take a closer look.
Some beast or beasts I did not recognize.
Vlaakith's crown. Gone again.
And with a quiet, resigned huff, she settled back down. The tadpole writhed. My mind suddenly reeled as if bitten.
Feels like there's magic in every thread of this cowl. Something for Gale, certainly. That smell. Something died in here.
The goblins cheered and raised their cups, all irony lost on them.
Clausus, faccio, voco,
Fere!
The crab hit the bottom of the bag and immediately retreated into its shell.
These boots have clearly been enchanted with powerful magic. I think Gale might be interested.
Just a mental fog that needed clearing. Now they'll see reason. It seems as though the Absolute's attracting followers from all kinds of places. The Mind Flayer's dead. The imps killed it. Cupio, Virtus, Licet. Ah! Resist or Accidum! Better keep an eye out for more. Oh, where's Gale?
The dog growled at me while standing by a dead man.
I navigated carefully. With Regslin's voice, I asked.
Ugh. Nocturnus, Mundus Volticipi. Never seen that before.
Tight fit. I barely got through.
A perfect hit. The wound healed instantly, ejecting the broken spear with a wet pop.
Yes. Myconids are more powerful than you realize. Quadico face.
The squirrel looked up at me, eyes wide, heart thundering.
She ruffled her feathers and chirped harshly, mimicking a goblin's cry.
Ugh, that smell. Is that milk? A prayer sheet with the same symbol as the one on the chest. These Gith are formidable, but not infallible. We can take them in battle, should it come to that. Essurio! Ah, a chest of transformation. Temporor mutantor. Resisto frigus. Amicus animalis. The skill of a dragon rider. Breathtaking.
It needed sustenance to survive. And with my very body, I could provide.
Nine hells, take me! No, never again. Fiat voluntas Dei. Barrel stalks, full of poison. And under Myconid control, no doubt.
From the far distance, I heard a blast of goblin voices.
More owlbear eggs. Already hatched. No point in taking these.
His eyes rolled, and instinct drove him to rear away. An illness? No. A parasite.
Those mushrooms have a curious symmetry. What was that?
I recognized the dragon as the mount of a Githyanki knight. Perhaps they'd been tracking the ship.
Let the goblins kill them. At least they'll enjoy it. Risum teniatis. Time. A dragon. Gods preserve me. Invoco te. Oh, pathetic. Dead. Good.
His growl was low. A warning to leave him be.
Maleus! We're not agreeing on this. It's your brain. Use it as you like and let's move on.
I let the tadpole drop, but couldn't bring myself to lift my foot.
Tecuro, manos potentis pado.
As I drained the bottle, a comforting warmth enveloped me, like an old, much-loved blanket. When I turned back, the child had vanished.
The owlbear uttered another shriek and reared up, talons flashing. Ab uno disce omnes. Wherever they are, it was a fine hunt. Tare!
His lips closed. The body was still. The spell was done. The bird fluttered about frantically, looking for his missing treasure.
Maybe not. Better stay back. One strike could be lethal.
As I read the cover, The Necromancy of Thay, I could almost hear a voice. I just had to open the book, and it would be mine. Forever.
The ox's nostrils flared. She could almost smell the fresh grass.
Dissolve!
I closed my fist as tight as possible. Suddenly I felt the most intense sorrow and regret. For the best. The gate earned its fate.
Bodies everywhere. Accident or sabotage?
I sensed the bear's growing frustration. How could he make the strange man understand?
None fit endura. Never seen anything like these. A brain in a jar. They'll be tough to fight, but not impossible to beat. Bet this idol has a bit of divine spark left. Something Gale can use. Tecuro! Back in the hag's lair. Good thing she's dead. Weapon blueprints. Looks like this Susa bark might come in handy.
The bear snorted and clacked her teeth in agitation, bearing fangs as long as my finger.
The ring changed colour. I wonder why. First Druid, and now last Druid. Thanks to me. Quadico face time. Odd. Someone's cut a notch in the tree there.
I opened the book where I'd left off, and the voices returned, chiding me for my indecision.
How to do that?
The goblin's nostrils flared, as if trying to judge my intent through smell alone.
We can butt heads later. Let's go.
That's quite an egg.
Scio dedici pecto, te absolvo.
Again a vision came to me, a memory seen through the creature's soul-dead eyes.
I wonder what that did. Ugh, what a horrid sight that was.
The dog's hackles raised as its growls loudened.
Tomorrow I would fight harder than ever before. Ragslim remained ignorant to my presence in his mind murk. I chose my next question.
Crescat scientia! Wyvern poison. That's worth a pretty penny on the black market. I am free, never to be captured again. More!
The wolf's fur ruffled in annoyance. He wanted me to leave. There were too many people here.
I wonder what happened to that drow. Demonic creatures. They're like vermin. That's putting it mildly. Intelligente pauca resisto mortem. Resurges! Makeske!
The ox stared at me wearily, before dipping its head to munch on some dry grass.
Oh. A lucky escape. Judging by how they fought, those things weren't happy with our looting. I've never heard something so beautiful. Mother of lusts. Gone again. Useful little mushrooms. This is a swift way to the Underdark.
The corpse's mouth wrenched into a hateful twist. It refused to speak.
None fit endurer.
Another vision. I looked back into the darkness of the pod aboard the Nautiloid.
He breathed deep, seeming to relish in the new sense I brought with me.
This isn't meant for my sort of stomach. Ugh. Huh? Silentium.
But instead I found myself straining, then smiling, as it wriggled freely in my hand.
An image of the Mind Flayer reached out from my thoughts and wrapped itself around her mind.
It's the most important city in this part of Faerun. And it's home. Whatever it is, the Absolute has a powerful hold over them.
I watched her blink, process this, and paw the ground in agitation.
Hostia Monera!
The dog looked to his owner with a soft whine. He did not move from the corpse.
I've everything I need. Except fire.
Visions consumed me once more. I looked past the Nautiloid's control panel and out the command window to see a swarm of Githyanki dragon riders.
The priestess is slain, and the horde is weaker for it. Incomodum! Ah! Essurio!
The girl winked at me and turned away.
Inexpugnabilis! Signum arcanum!
The tadpole writhed in ecstasy. Finally the way was clear. It was coming. It was coming.
I saw it reach toward a holding pod. The clawed hand opened it to reveal darkness.
Agreed, then. Let's keep our distance. Agilius! Voco morus! Chewy, bitter, putrid. Just like Mum used to make.
But I couldn't do it. The creature was too precious, too beautiful.
With my resolve strengthened, I fell into a deep slumber.
The creature spoke in visions. I looked past a Nautiloid's control panel and out of the command window to see a swarm of Githyanki dragon riders.
Veritas credo oculus.
Something about the gesture struck me as acceptance, of a master never waking up. The rat chittered at the chest, wincing with its broken tooth.
Spira mortis. This whole place reeks of necromancy.
The tadpole squirmed in my mind. It seemed sated.
Scio didici pecto.
The person they were trying to save. It was the creature from the ship. Still alive, but wounded.
Ah! This thing won't yield its contents easily.
The tadpole squirmed with glee. It was clearing the way for something deep inside. Something that wasn't me.
Not much magic left, though. Sun's too bright. Impero tibi!
I felt her breath on my neck, her fingers running down my spine, and then it was over.
Then it settled. We took a chance for Mayrina. It was the right call, even if it went wrong. Mors animae.
Auntie Ethel nodded along to my tail, her face creased with concern.
Baldur's Gate? Is that a portal of some sort? There's more back here. Looks quiet. Dead. Rhizum tenatis. No, the teachings are clear. It is impossible. Voco glacias. Seems like nature's provided a shortcut.
I felt movement behind me and turned.
This is a bad idea. Sicut catus.
Her faith flooded into me, a tide of shuddering ecstasy.
Well, if there is a solution, it isn't here. We'd better get moving.
Brains.
Diore. Te execro. Tormentum. Might still be stuck inside if we hadn't been attacked.
The corpse had nothing more to say to me.
Imperote. We made a mistake. I suppose only time will tell what's happened to him.
The girl winked at me as I turned away.
The book refused to open.
Mario!
I looked closely at the hermit crab. The tadpole writhed. My mind suddenly reeled as if bitten.
At least it won't suffer anymore.
The bird chirped his disagreement and resolutely pushed the coin to the right, keeping an eye on me.
No need to insult the dead.
Ha ha ha! Akidum!
The goblin planted a wet, sticky kiss on my foot.
Footprints. There may be even more that survived the crash. These flowers. They're creating anti-magic fields.
The goblin's nostrils flared nervously. All of his bluster had vanished.
If only I was mounted on that dragon.
I couldn't move, couldn't think. Thinking was mercifully done for me.
Alasque, Dissera, Resisto, Frigus.
He snarled a warning, flattening his ears and lowering his body, ready to pounce.
The crab feared me. I had the power to steal it from the beach.
Ah, this tastes like a Rothe's breath smells.
The dog observed me, wary but calm.
Maledicteus.
The bear grunted her understanding and trudged over to the side. This was all too tiring.
Every night that passed was another night that the monster inside me grew.
I could drown in that song.
Vincere est vivere! Akidum!
The well stood as it had for ages.
Volo carefully withdrew the needle from my eye, then, reaching into his bag, he produced an ice pick. The tadpole squirmed in my mind. It seemed sated.
Faccio, voco, fere!
Amo sanguinem.
Her gaze followed it. Clearly she thought I was trespassing on her territory.
Drow? And worse. What were they doing here? Machine made them hostile.
Vium sapientiae.
The tadpole writhed. My mind suddenly reeled as if bitten.
The hag's lair. I think I prefer the swamp. He hasn't noticed us yet, and we have more pressing concerns.
The tadpole writhed. My mind suddenly reeled as if bitten. Our minds connected, and I drowned in Lazelle's deep longing. I saw a Githyanki woman, pale as death, her face contorted by desire. Vlaakith. All memory and all future was lost. There were no parasites to cleanse and no monsters to vanquish.
The claws tried to grip my hands, tried to stop me, but I slammed the book shut before they could take me.
Expello te!
The metal bent and snapped in my almighty grip.
Scio, dedici, pecto.
Oh, what's done is done. But we should think twice before barging in somewhere next time.
Veritas, credo, oculus!
It might not be the time. We'll figure it out later. Let's pack it up and move on for now.
And if the darkest one was Shah, Moonrise must be her celestial sister, Saluna.
Crescit eondo. Enough chatter. We retrieve Halcyon. We find a cure. The truth is, if there is a devil running wild, we might have to deal with it one way or another.
Stout heart and hearth fire. Long roads leading back home.
Excellent. Now to forge the bloody thing. Knolls erupting from corpses. I've not seen the likes of it.
Every symbol seemed to burn my eyes. I could feel them searing into my mind, into my soul. Even in the dark, I struggled to find my center. I wove together memory, ambition, and purpose. The dog's stance surged aggressively once again upon spotting me.
His fingers flexed against his thigh, coiled with tension, longing.
I recognized the marks as those of a pack of gnolls. There was no doubt.
Listen. There's fighting outside.
Macte virtute, impero tibi.
If they hadn't heard me before, they certainly did now.
Easy or not, we'll have to figure a way to get Halcyon out of here.
And then an ache gripped my head. I saw a flash, bronze hair, pale skin, and it was gone.
Invoco te.
Grack. Hook Horus.
Compassion?
Owlbear tracks. Its nest must be nearby.
The tadpole jolted deep within my brain. This was it. A single word pervaded my consciousness. Soon.
Ex textura.
Seems like it's unanimous. We shouldn't fall prey to this power's temptation. Arcane lights. Of course. Challenge the gods. Why not? It wouldn't be the strangest thing this happened today. Let's leave her in peace. It's the least we can do. Grim-looking horizon. Wonder what's out there.
Despair poisoned her thoughts. She knew she was doomed whether she helped me or not.
What's done is done. But we should check the corpses for valuables. Encertus pulcher imperio!
The cruel beak face of an owlbear loomed out of the darkness.
That's not going to work.
He grunted a pleasant greeting as I approached.
Ad lapidem!
The tadpole squirmed in my mind. It seemed sated.
Corellon preserve me. That cannot be our fate.
The tadpole writhed in ecstasy. Finally the way was clear. It was coming. It was coming.
We're not letting this parasite get the better of us. No more relying on its power. This absolute seems serious. We need to learn more. See how it's all connected. Aqua pura. Ah! Manos potentis paro. That old woman was certainly memorable. In nocte concilium. Punge. Bene carator.
Those boots look quite special. Something for Gale, maybe.
Mors curta.
The corpse remained still and silent.
I've never seen this language before. Who was worshipped here? Clausus, Cupio, Virtus, Lightet.
And then smiled serenely as blood and shadow spread like stains across my vision, erasing the inhabitants.
Unleash. Resisto venenum.
And then it shrank back down and started to slither away. A cluster of spiders scuttled inside the crevice.
Shaky wall. Reminds me of an old flame. Non compos mentis! Ale me! Perhaps using Ethel's wand wasn't the best idea. Glacius! Everything Ethel touches is corrupt. We should have known better. Bene carator! Voco venei! There's no point in arguing. The spell was already cast. Watch your step. These webs are everywhere. Fiat lux! Ah!
The tadpole writhed in ecstasy. Finally the way was clear. It was coming. It was coming.
Corpses. These creatures did battle with Dwergar.
The squirrel bit my foot again. My hand touched the capsule and something in my brain twisted. From the far distance I heard a blast of goblin voices.
Interlocking circles with moons and stars. This must be the seal mentioned in that journal. Mortalis! Everyone agrees there's no need for the poison. Let's get rid of it.
With a twang, a string snapped, whipping across my face.
Oh, where's Will? Signum arcanum. Citius. Better be careful. Those webs carry vibrations.
My skull briefly ached. And I was her. I felt her irritation and indignity.
Best to move, before the blood draws more of them.
He growled, warning me to keep my distance. He was suspicious, confused by the question that fell from his lips. I proceeded carefully. My voice cut through the fog of confusion. I felt the creature's hold on them wavering. The goblin's nostrils flared as if trying to judge me through smell alone. Raxlin pierced my mind, prodding for truth.
Blasted sunlight. Why did the mushrooms lead us here? Ah! Et alibi! I live by 2 rules. Always empty your flask, and never trust goblins. So those mushrooms can raise the dead. That's interesting. Another illusion. Is anything real down here?
Useless. My mind's defenses crumbled. My vision blurred.
Mundus Valticipi.
I was perfectly happy.
The brothers. I guess they didn't find their sister. Cupio Virtus Lightet. Caveat incantato.
As I turned to leave, so did the other child nearby. She looked nervous for some reason.
Prophets. Just second-rate poets with delusions of grandeur.
There was something dark about this tome. I could sense it. Something profane.
Curiosity conquered his suspicions. I sucked in a breath of relief.
Ha ha! Mirror mushrooms. Step on the wrong one and plummet to your death. The necromancy of Thay. Sounds ominous. I wonder how long this agreement will last. That drow cowl might have bits of magic lingering inside it. Something for Gale. Facing that lot would be suicide. At least for now.
I probed the corpse for residual memories, but there were none. I awoke in pain. My back, my hands, even my tongue ached.
It won't be hard to keep their scent. That foul blood is everywhere. Cafigo!
The crab relaxed as I stepped back.
A cave. Best stay sharp. I've been out of the dark for a while. Gods above! What happened? Cupio, Virtus, licet. What's just happened?
My heart seized. Under questioning, the creature might recognize me as its killer.
The world around me was gone. I could only see those glyphs, only hear those voices.
Either way, these corpses prove one thing. This is the city Halsin mentioned. Ha ha!
Answers eluded me. Growling, the squirrel bit my foot again.
Nocturnus, plue.
I'm trying not to think about it.
Aresque.
I struggled to cling to scraps of what I knew. Powerful necromancy, I was certain. But it darted away, leaving only hell's screams.
The corpse collapsed, silent once more. I didn't recognize the ritual or the name, Mother Peace.
Secreti umbrarum, fulgor!
The tadpole squirmed with glee. It was clearing the way for something deep inside. Something that wasn't me.
That bastard broke his nose. What is this place?
A calm night was a mercy, yet my eyes refused to stay closed.
Umbrae! Let's not jump to conclusions. We calmed down some crazy fishermen. That's all.
The spider scattered, but my hand came up empty. Had the bag been a trick of the light?
No more prayers. Only dust and silence. Vita excolato, voco araniae.
The drum lay before me.
Lux in tenebra. Shadow druids. There's more to Korga than meets the eye. Intelligente pauca. They make good bait, drawing attention away from us. Resisto! I bet this idol's powerful enough for Gale to get something out of it.
The wolf was calm. The battle had satisfied his urge to hunt.
The dead goblin would speak no more. The vision was simple. A stone altar to Lolth, the knife upon it bloody with sacrifice.
I pushed back, taking advantage of a tremor of pain cutting through the creature.
Forget the king and his plans. A healer comes first. It's trying to escape again! Amor sanguinem. Voco vineae! Stay ready. Something isn't right. Deep grooves in the mud around that rock.
The ox flicked its gaze away. It knew I carried a parasite, and wanted none of it.
By the hells. What is that? Timask. The spores confused the senses. The owlbear glowered and pivoted, trying to keep me out of its blind spot. Get confused by one, blown up by the other.
I found the edges of a concealed entrance.
There's a darkness coursing through those vines.
It breathed deep, unfurling my past in a vibrant chain. Not a drow to it, but rather
aqua pura.
The bear radiated palpable calm. Not just calm, pure serenity.
Gods, they're out of their minds. I don't think we're going to agree on this today. Let's move on. That wall's an illusion. Hiding what, I wonder?
The tadpole squirmed with glee. It was clearing the way for something deep inside. Something that wasn't me.
Strange. It looks healthy, but it's stone dead. Enkende! At least we know these parasites can be removed. Now to find a non-fatal way.
The ox leaned forward eagerly, snuffling the air around me.
Could mean anything. The ebon lake. I wouldn't go sticking your hand in. I wonder what they say.
The spider scattered and I stashed the bag. Something clinked among the coins.
Sine metu.
I saw gnolls and goblins prowling the woods. Too many predators lately, even for Halsin. I should have been whipped, made to bow before this creature in shame.
Magis amica veritas. Places overrun with gnolls.
I watched her flick through the book, her face tensing as she went.
Just empty shells. Best to just keep the unhatched one. Virtus et scientia!
The blank look, the flat voice. He was holding something back.
Baldur's Gate. We're nearer home than I thought. A petrification ray. Someone addled that spectator.
I couldn't prod it, no. But I made it clear I was watching. I wasn't afraid. It was stuck inside me.
Video veritatem.
The bird chirped, happy for the advice, and did as I asked.
Eratio inspira!
The bird took flight, chirping loudly in protest and fear.
The tadpole writhed. My mind suddenly reeled as if bitten.
Evanesco. I wonder who or what those chains are for. Corruptus! Inveniam viam! A thing like that could swallow each of us whole. Raw or incinerated. We're a little outnumbered here, aren't we? We're in agreement. Let's be careful about what magic we use. Ostende secretorum tuorum! Strach, I may vomit.
Impero mortus.
Our minds brushed against one another, but were swiftly parted. The tadpole, it was doing something, taking something I'd never get back.
The tadpole writhed in ecstasy. Finally, the way was clear. It was coming. It was coming.
My head felt like it was about to burst. The memory consumed my mind, corrupting the trance. The bird hopped around his nest, keeping his eye on me. I wouldn't take his coin. The corpse grimaced and turned away. I was its killer. It would not speak to me.
Suage!
Let's try a little trust, eh? People might just surprise you. I can't believe I'm in one piece. Hells, something just woke up down here. Ah, that's better. Old, but not quite dead.
Perry!
It seems this Baldur's Gate is close. Perhaps we should refresh our supplies there.
This could spell trouble.
By my eye, that blade's magical. What do you think, Gale?
I'm a bit busy at the moment. We'll talk later.
More ve victis!
Bloody way to end an argument. I hope we chose the right side.
As the trance stabilized, I breathed deep. Be it cure or cage, something had to be done about the tadpole.
The boar fled with a desperate squeal.
Amos sanguinem!
At last, time to put this forge to work.
The book slammed shut, but the glyphs remained. When I closed my eyes, I saw them, still glowing in the darkness.
Then she lunged at my foot and bit it.
Ooh, looks like that's going to bruise.
Must be what that kid was talking about. Venustio.
Tormentum agilius!
I'd see those gates again. I made that promise deep in my heart as my eyes drifted shut.
The tadpole jolted deep within my brain. This was it. A single word pervaded my consciousness. Soon.
These tracks. Goblins? Not without its mother by its side. What now?
Flagra!
Strange collar. It's got runes all over it.
Ragslin's mind reeled, then calmed. He would speak as I commanded.
Finely aged wine. Don't mind if I do.
Nulla salus!
I recall the wild wood, touched only by the tel quizir. The world around me breathed and blossomed.
Kaido!
It beckoned me with a nod of its head. Then it was off.
The corpse's mouth jerked as the magic took hold. A dead tongue waiting to speak.
The corpse wrenched violently. The magic had worked, but it was unwilling to speak to me.
Then we are in agreement. Make haste. A hag staff has to be brimming with magic. Take a look, Gale.
Looking around, her territory extended from one end of the grove to another.
Gake prison. What in the hells was that?
Venustio.
The bark is in place. Now what?
I saw one of Ragslin's memories. Sitting on his throne, he hoisted a scepter into the air and declared himself the Absolute's right hand.
The crab sat serenely in its new muddy home.
Oh, Ignis!
My heart seized. What if the creature noted my presence at the crash site?
Cum mortuis in lingua mortua.
Useless without Susa bark. The tadpole quivered. It seemed to be burrowing deeper in my mind, feasting on what? The word escaped me.
I saw her brother as a child crying over a dead bird. The slingshot in Arca's hand. I felt her guilt. The child reached into the rocks behind him and opened a well-concealed hatch.
Nulla salus. Voco flagella. Frange!
The man was now dead.
But then I noticed a squirming movement under his features.
A key. For what? My heart lightened as I finished the song. I hoped that the dead rested a little easier.
Manus potentis paro.
To no avail. I couldn't bring myself to hurt the creature.
I've never seen a tree like that. The bark must be a rarity. The spell's power waned. I could ask no more questions.
And I felt answers. She knew more about my condition.
Confusio!
My kin wield their spears formidably. It would be foolish to provoke battle with them now.
With one last rattling gasp, the body lay still. The magic was gone.
There was another muffled cry. The two inside were still in the throes of passion.
Secco!
The old woman bustled about, muttering to herself. Nice to know we have another tool in our pack. This power is bound to come in handy.
But then the feeling slipped. The creature's mind seemed to focus elsewhere.
Ah!
Dialino!
The thought was punished with a spike of pain driven right between my eyes.
It was possessing my mind, forcing me to love it.
Oculus Tempestatis! We should find him. Maybe he can help.
The corpse did not stir. It had said all that it could.
Dollar. Maga Kamara. That's a hook horror.
Tiefling faces flickered into view as she attempted to learn the grove's location. At the mention of Halsin's name, she flapped excitedly, and suddenly the great bear seemed lost, lonely. Silently, she settled back down to watch me.
She prized my mental barriers apart and came face to face with my memory of the Mind Flayer.
Flagra!
Yuck. Smells like rotten eggs.
Yes. An unlikely place for such a fortunate find.
The monster lay exhausted, defeated. Its eyes, wet black pearls, radiated only malice.
The needle found the gap between eyeball and socket. Volo frowned and began to push. Volo carefully held one of my eyes open and began to prod uncertainly with the needle. My muscles burned with the effort, but the chains held strong.
Next time's the charm.
My vision slipped away. Myself slipped away. West Baldur's Gate. East El Terrell. Ragsling continued the interrogation, oblivious to my attempt to sway him.
The book refused to open. At least for me. I tried to close the book, but claws tore at me from the darkness. I could feel them on my hands, in my eyes, in my soul.
I saw an image. An army marched across Faerun.
The crab tasted cold and briny, squirming even after I bit down. It didn't stop moving until I swallowed.
Gods, what's happening?
Gake. Death is too kind a fate.
The squirrel let out a terrified squeak and bolted.
Maledicteus!
The corpse fell silent. It had nothing more to say.
All memory and all future was lost. There were no parasites to cleanse and no monster to vanquish.
I shan't push you. Shah's faithful aren't exactly known for honesty. Butchered. They didn't stand a chance.
The squirrel flicked her tail at me and turned away.
The boar huffed and bellowed, beady eyes full of distrust. The spell's power waned, and the corpse fell still.
Voscuro.
The flames fell away, a mere illusion. I sat in the dark again near Lolth's majesty.
This plane is full of disturbing creatures. True, you wouldn't have the grit.
I saw her cradling a small child as he wept, her eyes hard and hot, her knuckles bloodless.
The tadpole writhed. My mind suddenly reeled as if bitten.
Viam sapientiae. Voscuro!
The dog continued to mourn at his master's side.
What was that thing inside her? Can't read the script. Ugh, that reeks.
I felt intense effort, his clumsy jaw straining to form a question the man could understand.
Ha ha ha! Sickle!
The poison burned my throat, but the goblins followed my lead. The poison burned my throat, but the goblin relaxed.
Scio ditici pecto!
It's broken, but not too badly. I felt a rush of fury, hot and loud, directed at me, a stranger.
Fools. Little surprise they perished.
My vision swam, but I had to fight through the pain. My assailants were still under the creature's thrall. The crab visibly recoiled from the warm mammalian smell inside the pack.
My collarbone dislocated, allowing me to slip free of the chains.
Maio fortio!
Perhaps they returned to the astral plane.
A bag lay within the crevice. At its mouth, a gold coin glinted.
From the Underdark to the swamp. Lovely. I put a lot of trust in you, Shadowheart. Try not to break it. The owlbear shrieked, its outrage undiminished. I saw a clawed hand open a holding pod to reveal darkness.
The bark's like iron. This is a waste of time. Vario! Te adstringo linguum.
I raised my glass and shouted. The owlbear lashed out, struggling to keep me in its limited field of view.
Torre!
The tadpole quivered. It seemed to be burrowing deeper in my mind, feasting on what? The word escaped me. The tadpole squirmed with glee. It was clearing the way for something deep inside. Something that wasn't me.
Tormentum.
I hope we did the right thing, trusting a creature like that. She was, though. I could see it in her eyes deep down.
The spell's power waned, and the corpse fell silent. The crab reveled in its new home of mud, claws clicking with joy.
Strange. Why make a path from the Underdark to here?
Annihilate.
Diminue!
Necklace has a Harper sigil. Why were they here? It's been a long day. I need to rest soon.
Vinia two of them, eh?
Is that Volo?
I swallowed the cold, briny meat whole. Whether the crab died from my mouth or simple shock was unclear.
There's no getting through. Hyenas birthing gnolls. How horrid.
Once more he brought the needle to my eye.
Te absolvo!
The dog turned to the dead man before bowing his head with a soft whine.
No, there's more. You're not telling me the whole truth, are you? Wherever this is, at least it's free of dragons.
A dirty ring landed at my feet as the crab carved out a place to rest.
After them! In accessus! Era!
The goblin stared, mouth agape. Then he set his jaw and fell to his knees. Every cut was meditation. It reshaped the world to Vlaakith's will.
Not much use anymore, a vampire. Well, at least we know where we stand.
Gustas Dalkis!
I wonder what was so subversive about their words that they commanded protection.
The goblin stared at me, twitching. He seemed unsure whether to bow or attack.
Lapis root. Sapphire. Rare to see these so far north.
The bugbear lay dead on the ground, lifeless once more.
Invoco te!
I lived on the outskirts of Baldur's Gate, but the city had deep roots extending far past its walls. It was a minor victory, but enough to soothe me to sleep.
Ragslin's mind was clouded by doubt, surprised by words he didn't expect.
Mario!
That chest. I can feel its magic.
Looking at the broken helmet, I recognized the mark of Shah. This army marched in her name.
Caveat incantator!